Tom Quee and Sam Wiles present Down in the Hole, a Tom Waits podcast which explores and critiques, episode by episode, every album of the American artist. To find out more information about the show and the man himself, visit tomwaitspodcast.wordpress.com. Hello everyone. Hello and welcome to the Tom Waits podcast. My tone is one of slight resignation, slight reluctance, Sam, because this is the last episode.
I'm so sad.
Well, it's not technically.
My heart is beating, man. It is like pounding in my chest. And you are right. It isn't the last official episode, but it's probably the last sort of iTunes one, the last podcast.
Unless he comes back. I mean, we must state that this episode, which we are recording on the 20th of July, 2016, at this moment in time, there is no future Tom Waits album. There's not even hints of that. Apparently, he's going to be on Citizen on Hulu, which I'm dubious of Hulu. I recently watched a show called The Path with Aaron Paul. It was terrible. I don't think they can do a Netflix. Will Tom be good on Hulu? I don't know. I hope the show goes badly. People are like, what is Waits doing? Comes back with an album. And we can come back with a podcast.
Yes. That'll be perfect, wouldn't it?
Which is the true demand from the audience. But
Hulu are you? Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say, first of all, that this show then is not going to be... I mean, obviously we are going to be tackling Bad As Me, song by song, context, going to do all that stuff that we've always done, that you guys really enjoy, and we really love doing as well, of course. But this is also kind of a reminiscing show, not a clip show, but a sense to we've really enjoyed doing the show, and it's going to be great to conclude it. It's going to be great to look back and have kind of the definitive document. But all in all, we also want to just recap, because it's been a great enjoyment for us as well. I mean, it's lame but true. This is kind of a capsule of who we are in the friendship as well, along with Waits. It's nice, and also one of the greatest things about this show is the fact that within both myself and you, Sam, it's birthed a great passion for podcasting elsewhere as well.
That is so true. I mean, you've obviously got your one now. I've got two more on the go, which makes me kind of glad that this is the last kind of official one, because my workload's just getting quite mad.
Yeah, man. But so just quickly, if you like battle rap, I do one on Battle Rap Resume. Sam, Paul McCartney, and Only Fools and Horses. It's a disparate group of interests along with Tom Waits.
Yes.
But I guess it makes sense in terms of who we are as friends and whatever. But I just want to so this show, we are going to be recapping, and we'll start just before we get in the emails. I'm going to go straight down nostalgia lane, and I basically, because I'm obsessed with both stats and ego, I recently counted basically every episode that we've got. We have 27 uploads on the YouTube channel, which is a little more than the podcast channel, because obviously we do YouTube bonus episodes on there. We also
check them out.
We also had to split Rain Dogs in two, if you recall, because it was too long. That was our longest episode. Which was just ridiculous there, where we went basically 3 hours, right? It was like 3 hours 20 or something like that.
3 hours 30 maybe?
3 hours 30. But I mean, back in the day, when I look back at these early episodes, essentially up until Heart Attack and Vine, the 7th episode, we weren't going that long. Is that reflective perhaps of Waits, or is that reflective of us? We're only going for like an hour and a half.
Well, I don't think the context was as deep.
No.
I mean, the Tom Waits library kind of kicked in about episode 2 or 3.
That's true. It was later for me, actually. I didn't realise when I went on Tom Waits library, and not only with the lyrics there, but if you scroll down, there's so many notes.
So many notes. So many interviews as well. I don't think we did many interview quotes in the first few episodes.
No, that's true.
And I don't know, were we less in depth? I'd like to think we were as in depth as we are now, but there's a certain element of finding your feet and learning how podcasting kind of works, learning our own back and forth.
Yeah, it's kind of curious, isn't it? We'll never know because we've been through it, but if we did small change now, would it be 3 hours? Or because I still think we captured a lot of the essence in the hour and 22 that we did. I remember gushing over Step Right Up and confused that you didn't like Piano Has Been Drinking. Still don't really get that.
I was thinking about this. We didn't wank off Waits straight away. Did kind of.
Oh no, we were harsh. Remember the early emails? People were like, "What are you saying?"
We kind of ripped. We didn't rip apart closing time, but it's not very good as a whole.
It's pockmarked, but it has incredible high points.
Yes.
But yeah, I agree. Rosie's one of them. I think that's a forgotten track on there. But I agree, there's a lot of blandness on here. And dare I say, there's maybe a bit of blandness on Bad As Me, but we'll get to that.
Metacritic's not going to be happy with you, Tom. It's really not. Album of the year.
And then from episode 7, onwards as basically as we approach Frank's era. You know, One from the Heart.
Was it One from the Heart that we kicked off?
I think One from the Heart was the start of like a really in-depth analysis on our part, because it is going beyond. Obviously, the film is so integral. Like, we do cover film on the show, but obviously this is not only Tom kind of breaking out of his shell in terms of stardom, but also kind of being closed in as well by what Coppola's demanding, but also meeting Kathleen, the whole Zoetrope era. And we covered the film, we covered the book, we covered Coppola, we covered the music, you know, and it's a really good album, One from the Heart. I really enjoyed going back there. Like, maybe not the best album in terms of critical Metacritic appeal, but just to break it down and discuss it, it was really interesting.
Well, Little Boy Blue has like shot up into my top 20 Tom Waits songs of all time, and I hadn't heard it until I started this podcast. So I think One from the Heart would probably be the biggest surprise we had. I don't think we had too much to say about Night on Earth, either the film or the album in comparison. Night on Earth is still one of our lowest scoring episodes in terms of downloads. I still don't know why you people out there don't like Bone Machine, though. That really did shock me, because most people rank it quite highly, like top 4, top 3, but for us it's obviously episode 1 is the most popular.
Yeah,
and then it's the Franks, then Mule Variations. So not much surprise there. But Bone Machine's quite low scoring. I really was shocked, actually.
Yeah, I don't know why more people haven't watched it, you know, where all the other episodes... I mean, it's kind of like, what do these figures mean, really, the grand context? It's people that are enjoying them. But yeah, I know, Bone Machine with 140 views. Bone Machine with as many views as Night on Earth. It's just weird. And we're not saying that as a kind of please view it. It's more just like curious that...
It's interesting. Like, I was on the YouTube page, Swordfish Trombones absolutely smashes everything else for some reason, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It's top. And it's fun sometimes to type in, because I'll type in Tom Waits Bone Machine review, and there will be a few reviews up there, and it's nice to be kind of part of a community and to see what other people think of the album. Obviously, we kind of like go like 200% longer than most of them do, but regardless, you know, yeah. And then just to wrap it up towards the end as well, we you know, covered a lot of these. Alice went really long as well. Alice is 225. That was a really, really fun episode. Real Gone as well.
Our best, actually. I think Alice may be our best episode. Actually,
yeah.
I would like people to email in that, or just give us a quick buzz on the Twitter. Obviously, you're going to read out our classic down in the hole, lengthy prose emails. But
great emails.
Just drop us a little line in which episode you thought was the best that we did, because obviously we want to strive towards a particular quality in our own independent Beatles breakup type podcasts. You being Lennon, me being McCartney, obviously.
Well, yeah. But you have to be McCartney because it's a podcast about him. You'd rather be Lennon.
Well, no, but I'm more cheerful and up and upbeat, and you do heroin. So
I've had a few lost weekends, man. That's all. But shout out May Pang. No, May Pang, man. So yeah, we and then it wrapped up quite well, and we kind of shortened the length a little bit as well. We should state there were some bonus episodes here. They were fun to do. Please check them out if you're listening to this on iTunes. We've always stressed that point, so I'm sorry if you've heard it again, but this is the last time you're going to hear us say. Follow us at TomWaitsPodcast, obviously, and then email us TomWaitsPodcast@gmail.com. So yeah, Sam, ultimately, just to wrap up this section, I added up quite quickly on this website. It allows you to add up time, kind of, 60 per hour and stuff like that. Okay. So I added up every single episode. So it amounts to 26 kind of singular entries, as it were, on the YouTube channels, 26 videos. It goes over a day. How much over a day in hours? Day and hour.
So I'm gonna go for. So I'm gonna go with 32 hours. So 8 hours over a day.
It's 48 hours.
48 hours.
So
we talked for 2 days.
2.5 days. 2 hours, 12 hours. 2 days, 12 hours. Yeah, which is crazy. I mean, like, it's like Rogan. It's like, I think Rogan reached that point well, not even recently, probably by episode 400, where he's like, you could listen to me for eternity and you wouldn't come across the same thing. Like, if you put it on an actual proper loop in order. And we haven't quite reached that point, but yeah, it's testament to how fucking brilliant this man is, like, and Kathleen as well, and everyone that he's worked with. Like, obviously this isn't a singular enterprise. That's what the podcast has been so good. We can detail who's in the band, who's producing, who is he playing with. Obviously a man, a songwriter, an artist, a woman, anyone. They are, contrary to their influences, of course. And that has been really one of the really fun parts. And one of the really fun parts as well of the show has been kind of a microcosm version of that. We've been looking at Tom and the people that influenced Tom, and we've got in touch now, and people have got in touch with people who have been influenced by him, like us, and it's really good to hear their experiences. So I just want to start before we get into today's free emails by just saying that thank you to everyone genuinely that has sent in an email. Like, it's just brilliant to, you know, I mean, email feels old-fashioned. It feels kind of like letter writing, right? Like it's kind of a lost art. But I think especially for fan-based podcasts like this, where you don't have many people to talk to, but you have a lot to say. You know, people are coming out. Like I think with us, we were quite lucky because when we were younger, we were both into Tom Waits with a few other people, so it was quite a big crowd of us in a sense. Like, you know, which is probably quite rare.
Was actually, wasn't it?
Yeah.
There was about 6 or 7 of us. Wasn't
Yeah.
With varying degrees of actual interest.
Familiarity, crucially.
Yeah.
You know, a willingness to listen. So. Yeah, I just want to thank everyone again for getting in touch. There has been some absolutely brilliant emails. So the first email, these are all from return emailees, I should say as well, which is fantastic. Obviously, please keep emailing in. We are going to do more episodes, which we'll touch on. This is kind of the end of the official iTunes-y podcast run. And as I said in the last episode, it's a bit of serendipity. The actual file size of this will actually kind of, you know, seal off the storage limit. So
yes,
it's kind of a nice way to leave it. But we will be doing more episodes on YouTube, of course. So, yeah, our first email comes from Grim Auxiliatrix, who's been in contact before. If you remember they emailed, I believe it was on the last episode, and they were just giving some thoughts on Bastards, some really intelligent, interesting thoughts. So, yeah, they begin the email by just saying hello again. I know this isn't related to Bad As Me, brackets. Congratulations on doing all those episodes, by the way. Here's to hoping that Tom releases another album so you can do another episode on it. Definitely. Thank you, Grim. Appreciate that. But I found something interesting that I could connect to your episode on Blue Valentine. I recently purchased a re-release on CD of what that may be, of an old bootleg of Tom Waits concert, which you do find, like, do you remember, Sam, we were in Oxford recently, we were in the record store, and we just found some weird Tom Waits bootleg vinyl, and it was like, when was this? I think it was Foreign Affairs era, so it was quite slightly before what Grim's talking about.
Yeah,
but
it's always some random club you've never heard of.
Yeah.
Like, and there's loads of him in Scandinavian Europe. It's always like in Amsterdam, in Oslo. It's
yeah. So yeah, basically saying the concert was called Cold Beer on a Hot Night, and it was recorded at the State Theatre in Sydney. So maybe our good friend of the show, Morris, knows about that. Shout out to Morris every time. It isn't on iTunes, on Spotify. I couldn't find a great deal about it. Maybe I'm just ignorant, and it's actually well known among Tom Waits fans. I've never heard of it, Sam, but
Barney Hoskins is throwing his cup of tea in the air right now.
He's throwing his copy of Low Sun.
These hacks, they know nothing.
I haven't heard of it, but again, we aren't that well versed in these kind of bootleg avenues, are we? But if you have heard of it, please get in touch, TomWaitsPodcast@gmail.com. But anyway, I'm writing more to speculate on one of the tracks. Tom begins his usual live rendition of Christmas Card from a Hooker in Minneapolis by bookending it with Silent Night. However, after he plays Silent Night at the beginning, he actually talks a bit before going into the actual song. He says, "This is called a Christmas Card from Hooker in Minneapolis. She writes," end of quote. On your podcast, you talked about the song having multiple meanings. It could be from the hooker in question reading the letter, yes, but also from Charlie or even someone else completely. Therefore, when Tom says she writes before delving into the song, it definitely points towards the direction that Tom, at least in his performance, is not recounting the letter as the hooker. In my opinion, I've always thought that the letter may never have got to Charlie in the first place, or, if it did, by this point both Charlie and the girl are long gone. Tom could be in a similar position to our own. He's recounting the letter, yes, but he never knew these people. All he can do is read aloud the letter and, like us, make his own conclusions, at least from a narrative perspective. On the other hand, most other live performances I've seen in the song do not have the addition of these two words. So perhaps Tom is merely screwing with the audience or setting up the narrative slightly different this time. Perhaps Tom meant the song to be interpreted differently in each performance. I have no idea, but I still find the slight alteration rather fascinating. Anyway, thank you for your time. Hope you found this speculation interesting. Yeah, incredibly so. That was great. Sorry if it's a bother to send an email, they continue, but I forgot. This is the second email they sent. I've just got it kind of copied as one on my thing. But yeah, Grim got in contact briefly after, just to kind of follow up on this point. So sorry if it's a bother to send another email immediately, but I forgot to mention one track on the same live album that is just as intriguing. On the live album, he goes through Jitterbug Boy pretty normally, but instead of doing the closing version in scat, oh thank God, he starts throwing in lyrics from other songs. Yeah, I remember Hoskins spoke about this actually. He would kind of use that as a kind of venue for just old tracks that he's kind of, trying to pull out live numbers. In particular, they continue, an old parlour song called Genie with the Light Brown Hair. He closes out the verse by saying what they believe is transcribed it. Quote, "Well, I dream of Jeannie with a light brown hair, flowing like a river. Oh, but Jeannie don't want to talk to me anymore. Oh, who needs her? Let her marry that insurance investigator. I don't care." He then goes straight into Better Off Without a Wife. I think this intro actually works really well, and it helps to paint the portrait of the man who is talking. He's clearly drunk in the bar, bragging about all the things he's apparently done, but in reality he's alone and drinking as a coping mechanism for perhaps not only his lack of achievement, but also due to his failed relationships. He actually takes Better Off Without a Wife into a more melancholy direction, not only by putting it in the context of Jitterbug, but also by cutting out the third verse that talks about how thankful he was for his friends and how he was getting along much better, which, yeah, is a kind of crux, isn't it? This way, the song comes across much more as a man merely trying to convince himself that things are better, as opposed to one who actually believes what he's saying. If you can find this particular performance somewhere, I highly recommend it. It shows Tom Waits' true talent at crafting vivid, sorrowful characters in his songs. Anyway, that should be all. Thank you for reading. Thank you, Grim. That is some top-tier analysis. That is so interesting.
Really is. I mean, I love how like Tom is kind of like creating this like metatextual like narrative through several albums, and it's just like why he's like
his songs talking to each other.
These two kind of link.
Yeah. So thank you again for that fantastic email, and definitely people should check out that Sydney release. That sounds absolutely fantastic. I'm definitely going to sit that out. I'm sure. Even just to buy that, heaven forbid buying music to actually get it. What a weird thought. But yeah, that sounds really, really good. Our next email is from another good fat friend of the show. This is from Jeff. Jeff has been in contact a few times. Jeff, who you remember, Sam, was who correctly predicted, although backwards in time, the Real Gone title.
That guy, yeah.
Yeah. So we do our film segment for a few weeks. We didn't know what to call it. We said on the podcast, can you email us in? Eventually, we decided on Real Gone. Jeff, who was catching up, emailed in. What about Real? Which is just like kindred spirits there, like really, and this is a really good email. And Jeff begins by saying, "Hi both. I thought I'd get in touch with some thoughts on Bad As Me ahead of your episode. Bad As Me. It's really fucking good, isn't it? Excuse the swear, but Tom started it and hell broke loose. I'll leave the detailed critical analysis to you guys. The real reason I wanted to write now that you've reached the end of your main run of albums was to say congratulations and a huge thank you for all your excellent work on the podcast." Thank you, Jeff. That is very, very kind of you. Working my way back through his back catalogue alongside you was really... You remember that's what Jeff was doing. Sorry, I should have said that. He's, he's kind of... Which is a really cool way of doing it. You know the back catalogue, but you're kind of revisiting with the album beside you. Check out Caught on the Wire. Do that with The Wire. That is a really good way of enjoying the show in a whole new way. You've really confirmed to me that Tom Waits is a soundtrack to my life without being the soundtrack to my life. His music is a soundtrack to a strange, dusty, frequently dangerous existence. But I don't meet many eyeball kids or Dave the Butchers on my daily commute to the office, and I'm more likely to just grab a Boots meal deal than dine on fried black swan and a blue ruin. Having said that, my neighbour has just got chickens, so while I'm hanging out in the back garden with my own Kathleen and Jip, I can at least pretend I'm nudging towards a chocolate Jesus-esque sororal life. Although disappointingly, I don't think my neighbour is building anything. It's been a greatly appreciated and much needed opportunity to re-listen and reassess to his work in full. And I mean really listen to it. Too often nowadays I find myself skipping through albums or listening to songs on shuffle, but Waits' music demands decent headphones, a darkened room and a stiff drink. It's been a fascinating and sometimes surprising journey. I've particularly enjoyed finding a bit more love for albums that I wasn't really into before for whatever reason. Here's Looking at You, Heart Attack and Vine and Real Gone. Yeah. Which just briefly to pause on, Sam, I have to echo Jeff's sentiments. Like Heart Attack and Vine, I remember when we reviewed it, I was like, oh, it's just kind of gutter rock, there's not really much there kind of thing. And then when you go back, you're like, oh, it's just kind of gutter rock. There's not really much there. Like it works. like it's kind of songs like Downtown and Heart Attack, Mr. Seagull. Oh man, that's a crazy song. I know, Ruby's Arms is good as well.
I know you don't like In Shades.
Despise that one. Oh no, actually, that's the instrumental, right? That's not too bad.
Yeah, no. I think the album for me that I revisited and I didn't expect to like was Alice. Really, I'd kind of maligned Alice too. That sort of pompous hipster. Oh, I'm going to pick a non-Franks, non-Mule Variation album as my favourite Tom Waits album. And fucking hell, Alice is just. I go back to it so often now. Like obviously, you don't put on Fawn at a party, but it's such a good album.
Jeff continues by basically saying that it's astounding to him, and Jeff, again, I'm going to keep echoing your statements, some reverb going on here, but it's astounding to him that after all these years, all these record labels, personas, and musical styles, you can look back at Waits and say that he's never made anything even remotely approaching a bad album. I have to say that too. I literally can't, there's nothing on the echelon of bad. Nothing at all, Jeff concludes by saying that he's looking forward to any bonus episodes or blogs that we're putting up next. Yeah, I should say as well, check out the blog, TomWaitsPodcast.wordpress.com. Doesn't get it updated as much, but there's a hell of a load of content that's only on that blog. tons of articles that me and Sam have written, and lots and lots of great things in there, lots of lists as well, so check that out, lots of compilations. He also says, Jeff, and I just want to kind of use this as a sly advertisement, but thank you so much genuinely, Jeff. He says that he's ordering one of our mugs shortly, if you're not aware. We did sell one last week, so that may have been Jeff, I hope it was. We don't actually know where they go in sense of the shop, but that's Redbubble. Just search Down in the Hole and you'll be able to find us there. And yeah, we do mugs. I've got a mug, he's got a mug. We've had a few more sales as well. They're pretty cool to have. And Jeff says that when it arrives, he's going to pour brandy in it, stir it with a nail, and of course, listen some weights. So Jeff, thank you so much. Another brilliant email.
I can't believe how good our emails are. Like, dude, some of these over the 8 months we've been doing this show, 9 months. Like, some of these have nearly brought tears to my eyes. They are that well written and like that emotive.
I'm jealous of how well written those previous two were. I can't write that good. Like, you know what I mean? Podcasting seems easy to me. Like, putting words on a text is more difficult. And they were just arranged. The thoughts were just so interesting. So yeah, thank you, Grim, and thank you, Jeff, and thank you, everyone. And finally, final email. Just to tie it up as well, and I want to kind of hark back quickly to the TomWaitsPodcast.wordpress blog, because one of my favourite articles on there is when a writer, a blogger, a kind of journalist, Jared A. Carney, this guy, you know, definitely check this out. He lives in Sheffield. He's got his own website, jaredacarney.com. He's kind of has this series where he interviews kind of upcoming media shows, musicians, etc. 5 questions each, and he got in contact with us just as a fan, and he wanted to ask us questions about Tom Waits and the show, and it was brilliant. I just want to say, you know, great thanks. Check out that article on his website. We've also got it on our blog as well. And Jared gets in contact with us right at the end. He says, "Hi guys, as you guys head into Bad As Me, the final Waits studio album, until he of course releases albums year in, year out, I thought I'd show you an email with my memories of the album. I've nearly written you an email every other episode.
That's so cute.
But whenever I try to get my thoughts down about an album, it gets entirely out of hand, so I'll try not to go on too long. Bad As Me was the first studio album that came out when I was already a fan. I think so for me as well, actually.
Same, yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
So it felt like a big occasion for me. I remember that week. I don't really, even though I was into Waits, I don't remember following the release. This is me, sorry, talking, not Jared. But yeah, it's a bit embarrassing. But Jared continues. I remember that week where Tom appeared twice on TV, or more accurately for us UK fans, on YouTube. And while the Chicago felt a little flat, that Preacher Live version of Raise Right Men is still one of my favourites. It felt surreal to have this all new Waits to absorb. I remember a few people saying that Bad As Me almost serves as a perfect introduction to Waits, and I see where they're coming from. To me, the album does sound relatively accessible and kind of distills a lot of what Waits does into nice chunks. Of course, as a Waits fan, it's easy to forget what accessibility actually means. Once you've heard Waits, it's kind of hard to remember what's accessible to someone who hasn't heard Waits before. I was convinced Chicago was an immediate fun opener until I put it on a playlist for a barbecue one summer, and a friend of mine was utterly appalled by it. "What's up with this guy's voice?" she kept saying over and over again. She was a speech and language therapist, and obviously there are people with severe speech difficulties who unintentionally carry a lot of the same throaty mannerisms Tom puts to effect in his songs. Get over it. So maybe Chicago isn't actually accessible in the real world. It just seems normal for people like us who've been through Singapore, Hang On St. Christopher, and the rest of Tom, and have ears pre-prepared for the ride. Like every Waits album, I could probably go on and on about each song, but there's one I'm particularly interested to hear your thoughts on, Satisfied. I have a strange relationship with it. I know you guys aren't a fan of Tom doing Stonesy type stuff, but for me it's a fun riff and fun vocal. What's odd to me though is that they let it go on for as long as it does. Sometimes I enjoy the rhythm of it, sometimes I'm waiting for it to end. On an album where the songs seem to be deliberately kept as tight as possible, it seems odd to me that possibly the most uninventive track on the album is allowed to amble on for 4 minutes the way it does. One other thing I hope you guys mention on the podcast, for those who haven't sought it, I have the bonus track. I think the bonus track, Tell Me, is a really lovely addition that's well worth checking out. Are we covering bonus, Sam? Because I have written stuff for the bonus songs, and if you have.
I can riff.
Okay. Thanks for all the effort you've put in. Jared just wraps up with the podcast up to this point. I've really enjoyed every episode. Here's for a new Waits album and a new episode about it in the not too different future. Cheers, Jared. Thank you, Jared. Again, check Jared out. At Jared A. Carney's website. Best way to find it is just go on our blog and you'll scroll it down. He's also got a debut novel coming out. Called Waves. That's just what I found on his website, September 2016. So,
do we feature in it?
I think it's about us. I think the waves are like sound waves of podcasts, and it's just kind of about one plucky journalist relationship with two icons. But yeah. Anyway, whatever it's about, that was bullshit. But shout out Waves. I really look forward to reading it. So Sam, we'll continue. Where do we start with Bad As Me in the history of Tom Waits here?
Well, Bad As Me, like Jared just said, it is the first album that you and me experienced coming out. There was hype for it whilst we were still fans.
Yeah.
It's rather like Kanye West's second to last album, Yeezus. I remember that there was a certain Spotify hype as well. A couple of tracks were released very early on Spotify. We had Bad As Me, obviously, and for some reason we had Back in the Crowd. Yeah, and I was like, I was kind of trepidatious. I was like, okay.
Yeah, Bad As Me was the first song, wasn't it, released?
Yeah, and I remember like it was like, whoa. Again, much in the same way with Yeezus, you had Black Skinhead being released, and I was like, oh, holy shit! I'm so pumped for this album. Mm-hmm. But like, imagine if Bound 2 was like also released, you'd have that same kind of, this could be kind of awful.
I like that. Do you not like Bound 2?
Bound 2 is awful. It's absolutely
no, it's fantastic. It's really good. The last 2 minutes, especially. 'Cause I know. Oh man, that sense of reverence. Honey. Like, how is that not uplifting?
Nah, it's drivel. Okay. But yeah, so I remember like I was at university. I think you were still at university as well when this came out.
Yeah, no, definitely was.
Yeah, and there were I swear I saw one poster on a train once. And I was like, oh my god, a Tom Waits poster in my life. Like, he might actually be somewhat popular, which it both like makes me happy and sad, because obviously, if Tom Waits ever got to sort of Taylor Swift heights, he'd lose that kind of inclusivity of his die-hard fans.
I think it's too late for that, Sam. I don't think that's going to happen. But,
you never know. He could release something as big as Thriller. But yeah, I remember actually buying this album. I know you were just bemoaning the loss of people actually buying their music, and I remember the week I bought Bad As Me was when a guy at uni was also going to get into Tom Waits with me, because like I'd kind of like I'd showed him a bit off mule variations and stuff, and I lent him Bad As Me on CD. I lent him I think it was On The Scene, which is a live radio interview he did where he played a few songs, Mule Variations and Closing Time. And I never got any of those CDs back. They are still out there in the world today, and all I have is the little booklet from Bad As Me, which I pinned to my corkboard at university. So I don't even know what his name was. Like, you know when you just kind of bump like it's like a flatmate's friend, and like, they're like round your flat for like a little bit, and you get chatting. But yeah, it's gone forever. So obviously, anyone on the Twitter who knows, I had to buy it on vinyl, and I put it on and listened to it in its entirety in one go, and I was taken back to that university dorm room filled with smoke of a certain nature, filled with very tacky posters, too many DVDs, not enough coursework. Very much in the same way that LA Woman does. On my first night at uni, I listened to LA Woman, good. And yeah, it's infused into my life forever. But yeah, this is our sort of modern Tom Waits album, and we're obviously gonna get into it. But I must like point out, like I do have a bias for this, just because of my relationship with it. I know you're not going to be as gushing as me. Gushing is a word we've used on a lot of episodes whenever we've talked about albums that we might like. But yeah, one thing we must point out, the context for this episode isn't going to be as, I wouldn't say in depth, because we've both done our research and stuff, but fundamentally, Barney Hoskins has not re-released Low Side of the Road to incorporate Bad As Me, which I'm quite shocked about, really. Maybe he knows something we don't, which would be lovely to think.
Because it's a very well-selling book, and I used to work in a bookshop recently, and I used to always like going for the music biographies and stuff like that. And we used to sell a Tom Waits book. We sold Tom Waits on Tom Waits, which is like an interview collection.
I've got that as well.
Yeah, I've got that. It's really good actually. And but no, they would sell a lot of music biographies, and I remember seeing a Paul McCartney one. It's like, updated for 2013. I think his album was literally called New.
Yes.
Yeah. Of course you know that, yeah. And and so yeah, and then I was like, oh god, I know it's Paul McCartney, but like even for like sort of more minor kind of people, it seemed to be updated. So yeah, I agree actually, that is suspicious. But then again, maybe Barney's just kind of like, I'm not his official biographer. I just did a kind of, maybe he hopes it gets taken up by someone else. I don't know.
But it's the biggest one though. Any real Tom Waits fan, we are not endorsed by Barney Hoskins. Like people who have been listening to this show for 23 full episodes now might think we are being endorsed by him, but no. We just really would recommend that you do buy it. You do check it out. It'll have a lot more detail in his kind of early life than we've ever gone into. Really, we are discussing the albums.
the stuff on his origins. I mean, it's all fantastic, but yeah, especially that stuff where there's pictures of his high school interviews with the guy who worked at a pizzeria with like loads of stuff we haven't touched upon, and it's beautifully written as well. Yes. Barney's a great like writer.
And the other thing about this album is that the Tom Waits library does not cover Bad As Me either.
That's true. That's true.
It's like Bad As Me exists in this ether where it just makes it difficult for podcasters like us to get as much info as we'd like. I don't know why. That is.
There's some info I have, such as the background, which I've just thought was quite interesting in terms of kind of the distribution of Bad As Me. Obviously, Waits is still on Anti. He's having a very fruitful relationship with Anti, but Bad As Me marked the first time. This is obviously his first album, new material in 7 years. Since Real Gone, so 7 years between. So that would suggest that if he's on a kind of 7-year cycle, which doesn't really make sense, but seeing as 7 years is the longest thing, that gives him another 2 years now to bring an album out. So who knows, it could come out quickly. But it was agreed on a distribution deal with Warner Music Group, allowing them to release the album internationally, which is maybe why it seemed to get more of a push, because it had kind of a big, it wasn't just Anti behind it, it had like a bit more of a force behind it. And this was the first time that Waits had released music since Heart Attack and Vine. On Warner organisation, so it's a long kind of him going back into the fold of kind of wider distribution, and getting nominated as well. Got nominated for a Grammy Award for Best Alternative Music Album. Didn't win, but Waits has won before, and I don't think he really cares. But it's a good, I think kind of Grammys is kind of bullshit when you're like Best Pop Instrumental, Best Pop Performance. Not the pop music shit, but kind of modern pop music is shit. Like whereas kind of the alternative folky genres, they're a bit more interesting. They're normally some good albums are nominated each year, so I think he did well to get a nomination here, but. One of the things that I like about the album as well is that I don't know if you've seen the actual musicians that are on here, but it reads like a who's who of great Tom people that he's worked with all over his career.
It's pretty much everyone but Fred Tackett, isn't it?
Yeah,
really?
yeah, essentially. So obviously Mark Ribot features on the majority of the tracks here, which is great to see. His son plays pretty much all the drums, apart from Waits himself. David Hidalgo's been on guitar a lot. Charles Musselwhite, who played harmonica on a ton of Waits releases, he's back as well. Sir Keith returns.
Is Larry Taylor on this?
Larry Taylor plays guitar on the first 2 tracks and bass on the first track. So that being Chicago, and he plays guitar on Raise Right Men.
Cool.
Flea plays bass of Red Hot Chili Peppers on Raise Right Men.
Well, for me, it's Flea from the Wild Thornberrys Nickelodeon cartoon fame. But yeah,
he plays on Raise Right Men, and possibly the most kind of fitting song for him, Hell Broke Loose. So that's really cool to see him on. Dawn Harms as well, if anyone remembers, quite an obscure player from the Alice sessions. She's back on violin, which is really good to hear. She plays on Face to the Highway. We just have a ton of good people. Les Claypool, that we remember from Mule Variations. He's coming back in the fold as well. He plays Satisfied bass, which Jared will get onto Satisfied. I kind of agree with your thoughts, to be honest. But we'll get there. So yeah, it's absolute who's who. And it really, I don't know, but you feel this, like, it's very hard for me to say, okay, Bad As Me has a real direction. Like, I couldn't say that it's this album or that album. Normally with Waits, there's a song on the album that acts as the centre of the album that kind of suggests the motion that's going on. You could go for a lot of them on Real Gone, but I would maybe go Top of the Hill even as the opener, or that kind of just gritty bone rock. Whereas I don't think Bad As Me flexes its muscle so strongly. What you get is something that engenders a sense of retrospective, the sense of the players. There's so many people on this album that clearly have such love for each other and Waits' music that there is a loose joy to it, isn't it? Even to like the album's kind of saddest moments, there's a jauntiness, there's a thankfulness that they're playing.
Well, I think this is the fun album. This is the energetic old man album. This is the album where he's saying, I'm not dead, I'm still old, but I can kick it better than half of these young kids. This is a very sharp album. It's only about 45 minutes long. The actual proper edition, obviously with the deluxe version, you've got the extra songs that we'll get onto later. But Tom's never really been one for editing, has he? Like, you know, his most popular album, his greatest album, 1985's Rain Dogs, features 19 songs and nearly as many musical styles. And you know, a lot of his more recent albums have been 75 minutes long. I don't know how long all three of Orphans together was, but that's well over an hour. And Tom was talking about editing his tracks for Pitchfork, and he was saying, my wife Kathleen wanted to do 12 3-minute songs, get in, get out, no fucking around, because people don't have a lot of time. The way I think is more like, oh, you got time for 19 songs on there, put 19 songs on there, baby. She says, no, 12, like the eggs, 12. You could do a lot in 2 minutes. So I'm starting to get more economical as I go. Don't overstate, don't restate. And so many of these songs on this album, I wish had that sort of Rain Dogs indulgence.
He's lost objectivity. You can't seem to sort of see past, like, it's the first album. It's interesting in a sense, like, it's the first album in the sense where the ballads feel too similar and the heavier songs are more distinct. Like, it's pretty much always the opposite around. Yeah, like, Tom has always been good at being rocky, but like the songs themselves are a bit kind of whatever. Like, you know, I think Chicago has that problem, but I'd say stuff like Hang On St. Christopher or Telephone Call from Istanbul, or those sort of songs, the Trundle songs, you know what I mean, 16 Shells, etc. But I think the ballads here are just a cut from too similar cloth. A lot of them have that kind of post ballads quote ballers crawl to them, but not in a necessarily interesting way. It's not a bad album. It lacks a distinction for me.
I think there is quite a wide variety, eclectic sounds on the album though. When Waits was talking to the Observer, he was kind of talking about like the fact that his album has so many styles on it. So like almost seemingly random, but they all feel very Waitsian. He said, I think everyone has an irreconcilable musical differences. You know, when you throw a pie, you think people show up and no one will like each other. It's like that with music. Part of your musical psyche have never met other parts. You wonder if they should get together. I used to think it was a good idea to keep them apart. Now I kind of throw them in and see what happens. And the scope for songs isn't that great. Most songs that aren't jump rope songs or lullabies or cautionary tales or goodbye for songs or road songs. So yeah, he's just kind of saying that. Basically, you know how in like storytelling, you did a course on a screenwriting. There's like 7 basic stories. There could be like 10 to 12 basic songs, really. Like I think I read a stat somewhere that like 75% of all number ones have all just been love songs when you kind of just break it down as to what they're singing about. And there are a lot of ballads on this. I think there are more ballads than rockers, and you are right in that kind of sense that whilst this album doesn't have a distinctive sound, it has a very consistent sound, almost to its detriment. There's a lot of like that. There's a lot of brass on this. Tom's masterful nature as a producer and arranger really does shine on this album. You know. Think back to the days of Bones Howe doing all of it for him. You know, they are long dead. There are not many choices on this album that I think Bones Howe would have gone for. I mean, could you imagine Bones Howe on Real Gone? He'd be like, Tom, I can't work anymore. This is just too mad. This is too mad.
Yeah, he's like, remember Hard a Saturday Night? That was good, right?
Do you remember Martha?
I think if we're being honest, being objective critics, that it's important to be, and to really hold what we've said before against what we're going to say in the future, to kind of establish a distinct sense of critical thought. And when I say this sentence, if you read this in print, it would seem like I'm saying it aggressively. I'm not. I'm just saying this logically. Bad As Me is Tom Waits' worst album for 34 years.
Oh.
You have to go back to 1977's Foreign Affairs, which I like. But I think if you compare album to album, after that point, is Heart Attack and Vine better than it? Yes. Is One From the Heart? I think One From the Heart maybe is, to be fair. One From the Heart is more challenging.
Are you including Night on Earth?
No. And maybe not One From the Heart then. Let's talk direct studio albums. Obviously,
what about Blood Money?
Blood Money's better than Bad As Me. Blood Money's better than Bad As Me.
Oh, no, but see, the thing is, I'd be totally fine if Tom Waits was
Another
doing
Man's Vine is better than any song on Bad As Me.
if Tom Waits cranks out albums as good as Bad as Me for the next 5 years, and he does 3 more,
No.
I'm totally happy with that.
I'd hate that.
I'm totally fine with that. I'm not saying the same style, but if they're just as good, like, I know we kind of always add a sort of an arbitrary ranking out of 10, but this doesn't drop below a 7 for me. Like 5's average.
It skirts the low 6.
Low 6.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into these songs because there are some songs where I'm going to go mad about that they are really good, but I just want the listeners to think about that. If you think there's a studio album since 1977 that's better than Bad as Me, I'm willing to argue with you. I really am. Orphans doesn't count, just studio albums. But obviously all the Franks trilogy are better.
Yeah.
Obviously Mule and Bone are better. I mean, there's no question there. Alice is amazing.
Black Rider?
That doesn't count though. I'm talking direct, just Waits writing songs with Kathleen, like not for any kind of, I mean, arguably maybe you take Alice and Blood Money out of that equation, but you know what I mean? Kind of something that was just a studio album.
Just a couple of odds and sods, just some quotes that I've found that he's talking about. One of the interesting things is the fact that Tom is now an old man, isn't he? He's literally in his 60s now. Mm-hmm. His hair is really receding now. He looks more manic. He looks like the guy who you imagine from Dave the Butcher or What's He Building in There Now. Yeah. He is the neighbour, and he was just talking about and he talks about this quite a lot in the Observer article, and he's just talking about how he doesn't really have to imitate the guys who he was trying to imitate, maybe on things like small changes where he's going like he does just sound like now, doesn't he? Yeah. It's the unusual story. When I was younger, I wanted to be older. Now I'm older, I'm not quite so sure. Jimmy Stewart said he stopped making movies because he didn't like the way he looked on screen anymore. I'm more like the guy who says I look like hell, but I'm going to see where it gets me. I knew I was always going to be my own father. There was a need for maturity and guidance from somewhere, and I was going to have to provide it for myself, even if it meant putting on an overcoat and a hat and looking in the mirror and squinting a bit. It's pretty unusual being a kid from a broken home. So, could that, like, he's kind of just saying there that the whole Tom Waits persona, the Frank persona, is purely down to a lack of his dad. Like, if Frank hadn't have walked out on him and Tom would have had a more stable childhood, we wouldn't have gotten all of this. It's a real, is it worth it? Is could Tom have done this without having his own emotional pain? It's kind of like comedy, isn't it? No one who grew up attractive and popular can truly be a good comedian. You kind of have to be the outcast, and he's the outcast musician, really. And just one last little thing. We've been talking about fans of this show, obviously fans of Tom Waits.
Yep.
Tom was just talking quickly about his own fans. He's kind of diehard fans, and he was just saying there are a few people who want to let you know that they know you, and that's maybe profound for them, I guess. But the odd thing about this life is that you spend half of your time trying to get people to listen to you, and the rest of the time to get them to leave you the fuck alone. So Tom's saying fuck a lot more in this later era. Yeah. As we get on to with things like Hell Broke Loose. I'd love to think that, like, obviously Tom doesn't get mobbed in the streets. He's not going to be running around to the sound of Hard Day's Night or anything, but he must get stopped a lot. Like, Tom, can I have a selfie with you? What the hell's one of them? Like, Waits does not have an Instagram account. You know,
there's a picture of him at I think it's the Obama inauguration, maybe 2008,
with a woman. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few photos of like other people I saw online as well, like in forums. So I mean, yeah, poor him and Kathleen.
I really hope he closes down Guantanamo like he said he would.
Do it the day after tomorrow.
I bet he won't use drones.
Maybe things would be better in Chicago though, Sam.
Well, anyone who listened to our top 5 songs from Anti,
surprising inclusion,
will know that. Yeah, I know you're not the biggest fan of Chicago, but I know you don't hate it. Also, it's kind of just there in the middle for you. Kind of just exists. But for me, I remember buying this in HMV, as I've mentioned, with that £20 2-for-1 deal with Jack White's Blunderbuss, which was kind of just that
was a blunder.
Yeah, it was a flutter fart of an album, really. Like, I've never listened to it since. I think there was 2 songs in it that I did like and are on my Spotify. But I remember being really trepidated with this whole affair. Not only because it had been so long since Tom's last original album, but I just kind of had this feeling that I thought like it would be sod's law. You know, it would be my luck that the first Tom Waits album that I bought would in fact be terrible. And I don't know why I didn't have more faith in Waits, to be honest. But I popped the CD into my PlayStation, and then this song just immediately hits you with this jaunty bop. And in an instant, I knew that for the most part I was going to be in safe hands, and that in this song at least, Waits hadn't lost anything. And like, I don't think he's better than ever. I wasn't like, ooh, what's this? But it's like, okay, this is Tom Waits. This is not stereotypical Tom Waits, but it's still Tom Waits.
Safe hands is accurate.
Yes, and I just can't help but grinning whenever this song comes on shuffle. I've got such fond memories of it. And in terms of Tom Waits' opening tracks, this album is defining what this song's defining what this album's meant to be, and that's just pure unabashed Waits fun. Waits is going to be just shaking down the house. He's just going to have a real whale of a time with it. And this for me is Waits at his most refined, because it's a very short track, but also at his kind of most casual as well. It's a very inviting song, like seeing an old friend, and it feels like he's never really been gone. It's also very, very, very moving, not emotionally, but like literally. You feel like you're gonna get, be on this kind of roller coaster ride, and it's got that sort of, when he's going all aboard. It's very much like we sell tonight for Singapore.
Mm-hmm.
Come on along for the Black Rider. Tom's inviting us on this journey again. It's not as sinister as something like Underground or anything like that. But it just doesn't hesitate. It just throws you in the deep end of a Tom Waits album. You've got that slick twangy banjo, those chug of horns, and then you've got that opening dirge sound that's like a train hoot, like signaling its steamy departure. And I had this very tangible sort of, oh shit, like, oh, here we go. You're on the precipice of a Storm Force 10 at Drayton Manor,
right.
A British theme park.
Yeah.
And you're about to go over the top. Oh my God, here we go! Tom Waits album, and he just kicks it off in a big way. Throaty vocals, a quick time thumping drum beat, and it's a breakneck pace. Waits becomes this fantastic narrator and spokesperson. He decides for all of us. Like, he's very inclusive in that sense. We won't have to say goodbye if we all go. We'll leave all we've ever known for a place we've never seen. Like, I think it's a great way to bring the listener into the album and into the narrative, and it kind of raises the stakes somewhat, as it's not just his own life he's gambling with anymore, and he's inviting us down a path that he can't really promise us will go anywhere well. And he kind of the main thing about the song is that it hints at the Great American Migration from about a century ago.
Yeah, kind of the Chicago he's talking about is one, even if he doesn't explicitly say it, feels old-timey, doesn't it? It doesn't feel... he's not talking about Chi-Town or...
Well, like it's kind of like post-Civil War, millions of black Southerners and kind of disjointed Unionists moving back up north, and Chicago was one of the main pit stops on the way. Obviously, Chicago is the birth of blues and the birth of kind of modern rock, and then it's just this fun little metaphor he's going to be taking us on with a journey in the album. The destination of Chicago could be seen as more of a metaphorical idea about where he's going to be going musically. Maybe things will be better if we go somewhere else. And he's not really going somewhere else like Real Gone's going somewhere else. You know what I mean? But if he stayed and just did something like Real Gone again, it would probably be even worse. So yeah, I could go on about this song for ages, but I absolutely love Chicago. Like, Tom's got a real conviction.
I just can't
in his delivery.
I can't find a groove that I like in this song. I find it quite bland. It feels almost Tom Waits covery. I don't know. There's a lot of guitar. There's a pole drive rhythm. It's a great statement of intent. The guitar picks up the mantle, climbs on the train, little noodling across, but it's just so. There's no imagery for me to sink my teeth into. There's nothing to dance to. It just feels quite flat to me, which feels like a very anti thing to say in the statement of your love here. But I'm just glad that it doesn't go beyond 2 minutes. I don't really know what it's saying. I like his singing. It's got a lispy phlegm to him. In Chicago, but the skittery beat just kind of is skittery.
Yeah, like I loved his performance of this on Letterman, where he actually brought the full brass support with him, and like he kind of did something that I wish was on the album, where he's like, maybe things were better. Like he did like a bit of a stutter to it, which I really liked. But the thing about this song is, like, yes, we've got a very post Orphans kind of Delta bluesy sound at the end, and then you've got that. Like, I love that little bow 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 bow. And I don't see it as a kind of a lame duck fade out, as we've kind of ripped on in previous episodes. I do kind of see it as the train going off into the distance. Ultimately, Chicago fits what Tom's trying to do with this album. He's trying to be concise. He's trying to be, he's trying to edit himself down. He doesn't want to do a Sgt. Pepper's phantasmagoria of indulgence, which is something that I've always forgiven him for. I don't mind Tom being indulgent. It is more Tom Waits, but this is a herald of doom for things to come, in the sense that it is a short song, and there's going to be a lot of short tracks on this album that aren't going to deliver in the way that I want them. But ultimately, the tragedy of Chicago is that it promises us a runaway journey album that never truly arrives at the correct station, does it? It does feel like Waits is on form and surprisingly as fresh as ever, but the quality of songs on this album of Chicago, in my opinion, can be quite few and far between. Like for me, Chicago is a 9 out of 10, and there's possibly 3 other 9 out of 10s on this album. Like, and that's bad for Waits. Like, you know when you're at school, and like, you've been getting like A's and B's in like a subject, and then like one day you get a C, and it's like, yeah, you've still passed, but it's like, what's going on here?
Yeah, it's very on him to have such an odd hit rate, isn't it? It's kind of there is more filler than people like to admit here. And
because this is filler. Yeah.
We kick on to Raised Right Men, which I think is another really good song, actually. Maybe one of the better songs on the album.
Right, we've just got to get something out of the way here, because I've got 2 bits in my notes that I'll go with either or based on your answer to this question. Right. You know the dong 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 dong. Is that bass or guitar? What is that?
It could be a high up bass note. I'm not kind of the best person to ask on sort of instrumentation,
like,
but it could be something. Like it could be a double bass really high up the neck, because it kind of has that kind of.
Because there is another bass sound. There is another bass sound in the background, which is really basic and dull. And I'm hoping that that's not Flea, and it's the dong 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 dong.
Right.
And that.
Yeah, I guess that would make sense, because he's not really been on a track before. But yeah, all the instruments on this song. Obviously, the rhythm is insane. That kind of dissonant like hit of an organ that keeps coming in.
It just cuts in, doesn't it?
The guitar sounds like it's being played through like a cancerous lung. It's just got this, it's got this really kind of like phlegmy nature to it. The way Tom just, heavens to Margaret, like just the way he kind of exists, like he is kind of has no shame anymore. Like you say, this is his voice. He's not putting in imitations. It just
we have to do as many Tom Waits impressions on this last episode as we can.
Raised Right Men is a great just phrase as well, isn't it? Because obviously it's part of the chorus, but he's just giving you a snippet of a part of the chorus. It's the title sort of thing. And Tom is just writing something that we can all relate to, really, in a kind of, it sounds more of a bluesy, aggressive manner, but what he's saying is essentially that kind of like, there aren't enough good people, and he quotes a few bad men, wrongly raised men, such as in the second, where he talks about someone who sounds like the ultimate Tom Waits protagonist, Mackie DeBiase. He was a complicated man. He quarrelled with his woman, and she quarrelled with a man. His head was just too thick, so she knocked out a tooth. He's that lonely man on the turnpike in the toll taker's booth. Which I fucking love. I think that's so good, because initially the Lonely Man on the Turnpike, that's sort of how they hitchhike, the sort of idea, but no, it's kind of even more depressing. He's in a toll booth. You're just kind of watching people live their lives and just kind of sitting there. And the women here are aggressive as well in the song, that I really like, willing to knock teeth out. Like it's not like, oh, you're wrong, man, you're a dangerous man. It's like, no, if you're not a good man, like you won't look good in the light of good women. And it's woman's love. It is Kathleen. It is we've been here before.
It almost seems to be like, he's kind of addressing his own changes in behaviour that he may have had to enact to keep Kathleen. He was a bit of a drunk, a bit of a layabout, a scoundrel, and obviously he probably wasn't raised right, but he had to become a good man. And I also kind of it's kind of interesting purely just because obviously Tom has now raised 2 men by this point. He may be questioning himself: have I raised them right? Because like the title, like you say, is so evocative. You do think like immediately, are there enough raised right men on earth? How many is enough? How many are there?
Yeah, and the awareness that if they're not raised right, they'll raise wrongly.
Yeah. However, I think this song, okay, Tom's a great moralistic preacher in this song. It's a mode of writing that is more than capable of. We've seen him do it many a time. Obviously, the title of the show, Down in the Hole, recalls to one of his greatest preacher tracks. But I think the sad distinction here is that Waits has shown an ability to make me side with things that I normally would be against, like a devout love for God or something like that. But as a listener, I kind of know that there already aren't enough raised right men, so it comes off as kind of a little inconsequential and a little trite for me. It's a bit short as well. Like, I don't think it really goes into much detail.
Do you not like his kind of balladeering warble though? Plays against the bass, like that. Like, it's kind of classic, isn't it?
But like, I don't know, it's just not a fleshed out song as it could be. Like, I mean,
I think it is. I think he's offering the thesis there aren't enough raised right men, and then the verses detail these wrongly raised men in excellent detail.
Coming from a
Go
man,
and play Maxwell.
Look, you love Tom Waits' list, right? You love Fish in the jailhouse and like that. I would have liked more men, what they did, and more women, and how they reacted.
Okay. So in the final verse, though, you get another 3 men and a woman. Like, there are a lot of characters in the song.
I think it's not very fleshed out, and I think it suffers from from being edited down. Waits was saying in that Observer article again, he was chopping verses left, right, and centre, and like a lot of the songs were double in length, and that's the album I would rather have had. Kathleen didn't like the beatboxing on Real Gone. He had to hide that, and now she is slashing bad as me. Very like a lot of the muses with sort of big artists seem to affect their early career more in a negative way. Kathleen seems for me just seems to be meddling a bit in his later career.
I can never see Kathleen as meddling though. I think she always does the best for Tom.
Yeah, but I don't know.
That makes her sound like she's got an agenda. I think her agenda is Tom Waits.
The best thing for Tom might not be the best thing for the audience, though.
I don't think he's ever played to the audience in his whole career,
except for Closing Time. But yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's he didn't have an audience to play to at that point.
Look, there are some great bits in this song. I love the who, like backing vocals.
Yeah,
like
I just think
Flea's bass, like it's got that hollow, woody, unusual sound, and it does give the song like an instantly recognisable edge. Like it does carry the song. You've got a jivey little plink of guitar in the background, and like he does feel quite like forlorn. Like there ain't enough. Like he does sound like genuinely at a loss for the lack of raised right men. I do like the lyrics. It takes a raised right man to keep a happy hen.
Yes, yeah.
And a good woman can make a diamond out of a measly lump of coal as well. Great lyrics.
Tom's describes Kathleen diamond and coal metaphor quite a few times.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a great line.
Look, great song. I just wish there was more of it.
Yep. So, talking at the same time has kind of the first sign of the monotony that will come over this album. That's not to say that it's not good, but this is kind of... There's a few songs throughout this album. I mean, let's just detail them now. So, we have Talking at the Same Time, Face to the Highway, Pay Me, Back in the Crowd, Last Leaf, I kind of like Last Leaf, New Year's Eve, Tell Me. There's 7 songs there, and they're all kind of the same song. Like, they're not bad songs, and they have interesting moments within them, but to say that they don't have DNA that is too closely aligned to be ancestral is to deny being a real Tom Waits fan who knows how distinct and weird, like Rain Dogs, you were saying, this guy can go. And again, I'm not going to say any of these songs are outwardly bad, but it's a similarity that engenders kind of a passive whole to me. But talking at the same time, I don't mind, that rumpy pump organ, the surf guitar kind of coming in thick sheets, Tom really not mincing words here. We bailed out all the millionaires, they got the fruit, we've got the rind. And then obviously everyone's talking at the same time is kind of his metaphor both for political discourse. And it's funny actually, Mark Commode, who both me and Sam are kind of fans of, he described jazz dismissively as everyone talking at the same time, and I always remember that quote. He's like, "Oh, you can't enjoy it. Everyone's talking at the same time," and it's kind of like, I guess as it makes sense as politics as well, right? All the instruments trying to get a solo over each other, it doesn't work.
Yeah, like very much like you've got Hell Broke Loose, which is the day after tomorrow of this album. But again, kind of like Real Gone, you have other songs that probably have more political air to them, like you say. This song reminds me more of things like Diamonds and Gold, though. It is about sensory overload, and it is critique of the current state of affairs. I love like the opening lines: "Get a job, save your money, listen to Jane. Everybody knows umbrellas will cost more in the rain." You know, it's like it's not only a great detraction of how pointless yet needed the accumulation of money is, but like he adds that little tinge that even if you do play by the rigged system's rules, that like they will still, after all of that work, take back all of your money when you need it the most. Like it's such a great fucking metaphor. Like it really blows me away. And I think just like, you know, with that one warbly, half incorporeal guitar strum, we're taken right back into the world of like Waits in Dreamscapes, kind of Frank Wildier's kind of stuff. But the horror of this song is that like no matter how much it sounds like an unreal bad dream, it is indeed reality what he's singing about. I don't know, it kind of seems to lack a shock value to it that Hell Broke Loose has. Like, hell, bro, it's like, oh my god, this shit's crazy. Like he almost seems defeated at this. Like there's a real soft strain in his voice, and it like he kind of has a closing time era sound in this one with his voice. Like he really is singing more than just doing a Tom Waits growl. But yeah, this is a song with thick atmosphere. There is this woozy shuffle pump of brass. That it just sounds like a long slog march that we're all on in society, and like it does swell at times, but it's never rousing. It's more like a monster rising from the deep, ready to wreak havoc. More
Yes,
than anything.
yeah, sort of Cthulhu crossed with Sea of Love. It kind of has that submerged feel to it, doesn't it? Yeah, it's not awful, and I think that if you were listening to Waits for the first time and this was your introduction, as previously Mons have said, that it's a good fitting one for, you would maybe grasp onto this song. Oh, I get the metaphor. Oh, it's fun, but it's like Waits can be so much more intelligent, both musically and lyrically, than this song. Like there are some great lines. Don't get me wrong. The Umbrellas in the Rain line is fantastic. Like he's never going to give you like poorly written lyrics, but it just isn't that compelling. I think maybe something like In the Coliseum or Day After Tomorrow, he's flexed his muscles a bit wider.
Yeah, I love that twinkly piano though. It's really got that sinister neo-noir vibe.
Totally, yeah. Kind of black and white detective kind of, you know, it just feels great. The next song is one that I actually really like, Get Lost. I don't
want to feel all cooked up.
This is a really enjoyable one, and I remember I was trying to unearth the exact quote, but I do remember Waits talking about when he and Kathleen were first dating, and they would play a game called Let's Get Lost, right? Yeah. And they would just kind of drive around California or wherever they were, the back streets, and just kind of...
In Ireland as well.
Oh, yeah, of course. And they just kind of just go all around and kind of, you know, obviously have adventures together. That's brilliant. And this is just a really, really fun song. It's kind of expanding on the new ground that he broke with one of the few songs on Orphans that was actually brand new, Lie to Me, which kind of has that kind of rockabilly idea, especially exemplified in that kind of rock and roll heavy, you know, really quick soloing guitar solo. Reminds me of something by like The Ventures or something like that. It's quite a fun number. I love mention of Wolfman Jack. I don't know if you're aware of Wolfman Jack.
He's a massive radio DJ. Isn't
he was kind of famous,
the most listened to guy in like history. I think. At one point.
And the reason I know about him is he was has a great cameo and features heavily as a radio voice in George Lucas's best film.
What, THX?
American Graffiti.
Oh, really?
Really good movie. Absolutely fantastic film. And yeah, basically, it's kind of cool. It's all set on one night. All these teenagers, sort of, you know, America, their innocence before war and that sort of stuff. And I think it's Vietnam. And he's kind of just talking and kind of dictating the story, and then right at the end they go to the studio and you get to see him, like, and he's real, and it kind of just makes the whole radio feel so much stronger as a narrative device. So yeah, Wolfman Jack gets a mention in this. I know that's someone that Waits both base his persona and just listen to his records, obviously, as most people did back then. But yeah, this is fun, you know, it's jumpy, it's pumpy. It kind of feels like I wish Bad As Me had more of this and less of Facing the Highway.
Yeah, it's kind of like the equally aggressive antithesis to Chicago, really. Like, Chicago's about the destination. This one, the journey's more important. Like, the speed of the car is so well realised within the track. It does have that kind of 50s feel. One line I do have particular fondness for is I think about what you're going to tell your boss. Like, not only just for the sudden like shift into a real aggressive turn on the guitar by Rabot, but it's one of those moments where I've had to do in real life as well, where you ask your partner just like, oh, just have the day off, please. Just we can kind of be together. And again, it's another one of those great Waitsian moments where he just picks out one of those relatable minutiae of life. You know, again, it's kind of like observational stand-up where it's like, oh yeah, I do recognise that. I do see that in my life. And this is one of the best solos on the album. Like,
Yep.
Robbo, again, just shows us why he is one of the best Waits collaborators at his disposal. You can instantly tell by that absolute screeching, surging bellow of notes that it is him, and he's got that same root core inventiveness. It's ever present. And then you have that real vigorous build up, and then straight into that like classically dynamic melody as well. It's a really fun song. I love how the drums don't have the fixed snare on the bottom. It gives it a real wild beat. Again, we've got a similar brass section like a lot of the other songs on this album, but I think what this song does, and like the title suggests, it's a very freewheeling, very loose song. It has little care for the finer things. You know, it's raucous, it's mad, and you can just feel the passion he has for the woman in this song. Cough cough. It's obviously Kathleen. Cough cough, and it's just bristling with giddy, childlike energy and wild abandon for the rules. You know, let's just get away from everything, from rules, responsibility, from care, even let's get away from probably classic Tom Waits writing. You know, this is quite a simple song, really, but we did have a possible Beatles reference in Chicago, which was "This bird has flown from its cage." I'd love to think that it was, but we didn't have an Elvis one in this, which is "Please, Please Love Me Tender."
Right.
Mark Ribot was just talking about Waits in an article called "A Grizzled Troubadour Dusts Off His Bowler" from 2011, and he says, Tom likes tunes with these monstrous grooves that can kick you into playing. On this record, it was less okay, let's be super rigorous and create music completely without precedence, and more, let's just rock the house. And like, this song does rock the house. And I think, you know, a lot of people, we're going to a big shout out to The Needle Drop.
Yeah, of course.
You know, he does mention that, you know, he too is irked by a lack of overall theme for the album. But I think what Ribot is saying here is that this whole album is just kind of Tom letting loose and kind of just rocking out, really. And maybe him letting what little of his hair he has down may mean he's not as careful, but he just doesn't seem quite as one shot, one kill sniper with a lot of these songs, does he? It's, you know, like, yes, there is no conceit because there was never meant to be one, but I think when Tom is wrapped around a theme, a lot of his best songwriting just does come out, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Totally. And I think that happens in the next song, Face of the Highway, which, whilst musically to me is a bit redundant, I think lyrically is probably the best thing on the album. I think he sticks to the theme here, the theme of kind of being,
something wants a something.
Well, yeah, being called by the inanimate. So obviously, it kind of the ultimate thing is him turning his face to the highway. You know, he says the road wants a man, but it's just kind of the demand. If Tom Waits came up to you and said, "Look, I'm working on this song, and basically it's the something wants a something," and that's kind of the whole song. There's a chorus, but that's kind of the whole song. I don't think anyone would write these lines as good as he does. Like, he just seems to capture that sense of nostos, that sense of pain. So the ocean wants a sailor, for example, is kind of a really weird one. It's kind of foreboding and deep, but also kind of like, he's personifying these worlds. You know, the gun wants a hand, money wants a spender, and the road wants a man. And I especially like the walls of the prison want a solitary man.
Yes.
Something very dark about that.
They also kind of tell and hint at a certain story. Like, obviously, this is a man who he's like. It's not like, this isn't like a Blood Money breakup song. This is like a, you know, there's no like angry dejection here. This is a genuinely kind of depressed individual who isn't angry. He's just kind of disappointed, and like, he doesn't even want to turn away, but he kind of feels like he has to. And there are little snippets of what may have happened to our hero. You know, the heart wants a certain kind of lover if it can. The lips want her. The diamond wants to fit on the ringer of her hand. And, you know, we can obviously tell that there's been some sort of romantic fuck up. And it's really, it does, like, you know, for whom does that bell toll once again in this song. It's very, it's very well, it works thematically more than musically.
Right.
You know, love lost, leaving the road. It's you know, in those kind of senses, it is a classic Tom Waits song with those kinds of themes, and he does work with them well.
Cole wants a minor.
Yeah, and you know, there's some really good keyboard in this, and it has that kind of Doors-esque flourishes, that kind of heart attack and line, blah blah blah, which gives it a kind of very retro Waits feel. And it's a little bit too jarringly jaunting for such a haunting track for me.
Right.
But it's Tom Waits. He kind of does still make it work. And again, you've got that lovely little and it gives it that extra layer of offbeat sweet. But I know what you mean by certain songs kind of being this, like it is atmospheric. It is thick. It does have that thick atmosphere to it, but it does feel like a song that I'm not rushing to come back to.
No, right. And it was only when I was kind of researching this song and reading the lyrics, kind of just to draw on the page, I was like, oh, this is so good. Like, I don't think kind of the song makes the best. Like, kind of like say a song like That's the Way, which I know you're not really a fan of, but that makes it very clear to you what Tom's rhetoric trick is. Whereas this kind of gets masked a little bit by the slightly muggy sound of the song. Not his most fun, and then just kind of the repetitive going away at the end doesn't really bring anything. I find it a little bit tiresome for me. And Pay Me is another one that just kind of plays into this kind of mediocre honeycomb of 6 or 7 songs.
I don't know. I kind of feel like this is a fantastic to come home. Like, it's a great ode to the working man.
Right.
And it's a fantastic companion piece to like earlier songs, like I Can't Wait to Get Off Work and See My Baby. Obviously that's like such a young Tom Waits song. This is an old Tom Waits song now. Like just like the shift in perspectives on work and how they've kind of changed is very interesting.
God, the classic songs that he wrote, I haven't even thought about how Can't Wait to Get Off Work for a while now. That is just effortless, isn't it? Just when he was at the peak of, not at the peak of his powers, but of that era.
Yes.
Just
like,
wow.
But I just love how the way Waits breaks down what work is on its most fundamental level in the first lyric.
Yeah.
They pay me not to come home.
To be fair, that is a great line. I can't deny that. Yeah.
And like obviously we've heard Hey Ho on the last album, and I think it's safe to say that we can guess what Tom's opinions on long-term work is, and it seems to be both a lament of work, but it also like contains an element of a cautionary tale. Like, it's easy to get stuck in this town. I gave it all up for the stage. It's clearly a song about someone who'd like tried and failed to elevate themselves to get a better life and ended up just getting stuck down here with the rest of us where Tom isn't. So it's interesting.
Set at the end of the world as well.
Yeah, and I don't know. He does kind of say like he does big up the nobility of just supporting someone and their family with a menial job in their backwater hometown. But like just the way Tom sings it, like he sounds like so uncomplicitly docile and exhausted, like he's singing from his bed or something. You know what I mean? Like how hard this guy is working, and it's a very melancholic song, but it's pretty with its piano playing, especially at the end of the track. Like that last piano coda, very much like a very down version of Layla. It's one of his greater tearjerker moments. Like it's up there with things like Martha or Take It With Me. It's really affecting, and you've got some lovely acoustic in the background that like attempts to like elevate the morose atmosphere but without compromising it, which is very well done. And the next stage I am on, it will have wheels. What a lovely line to end a song on. I think Tom's kind of coming to terms with his own age and mortality a little bit there. But that ending piano bit, it's one of the highlights of the album to me.
Oh, fair.
Obviously, the bit of music that stands out to you though is the accordion, and it's not shit. Again, Tom seems to have gotten better at the accordion as he's gone on with his career. Same with the banjo, but it's another kind of sea shanty vibe as well. Clearly, like Two Sisters was the style he was going for again.
In the harbour as well, that's kind of that.
Yeah, but to see him using it in this decidedly non-Celtic atmosphere and story is very interesting. But a lot of Celtic songs are always about being away from the ones that you love, being away from home, being away from the Glen, and
the Glen.
But you got that lovely accompaniment of violin. Is that the woman from Alice?
Is this the fifth song?
Yes.
No, it's not actually.
Okay.
She played on Face of the Highway, but whoever that is, it does sound. Actually, I think I was unfairly harsh on this song, to be honest. It's a very, very good track. You're right.
Yeah, and it's just the accordion and the violin give the sound of some far off peaceful land, and it's in perfect juxtaposition with this mundane shit job that this guy's working in. Like, for me, you pair this with I can't wait to get off work and see my baby, and you can do any job really. You really can, because like this song's not bitter. It's just like, well, that's life. You may as well throw me back in the crowd. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which is it's a nice kind of
Oh no, here we go. This is not a good song.
It's a meditative number, isn't it? It's a very simple song.
It's got claves, which I like.
Yeah, it's scored out well. I like. Tom doesn't tend to use two guitar players in such an obvious way as this song that much, especially in his later career. It's more a sort of closing time thing. Mark Ribot and David Hidalgo sound great on this track, and it does have this kind of slow mention to it. Mentions "Take My Picture from the Frame," which is a nice reference. Structurally, the song is quite similar as well, where it has the long moment and then kind of the slow bridge in between. It's quite a sad song, isn't it? A sentiment. If you don't like me, leave me, but return me where I came from. Place me back amongst the ranks.
I do like the idea that kind of Waits is saying that, like, in love, you kind of break down people into two categories: either people we do care about or people that we don't care about, and the latter is not made up of individuals but the collective. It's just put me back in the group, and it's, again, it is quite tragic in that sense. He's in that very soft mode again, isn't he? But I don't feel much strain or anguish behind the emotion that would really sell it to me. Like, I can tell there is emotion that's probably too strong, but
yeah, I don't like battle going on between the blue and the grey.
What does that mean?
Sounds like a bad Game of Thrones like novel.
The battle between the blue and the grey. Tyrion dies. Spoiler alert.
I think it means he's making reference earlier to sun and clouds, isn't he? So is it like sky and being overcast, perhaps? The lyrics are very simple in this song, almost too simple. If you don't want these arms to hold you, these lips to kiss you, it's just kind
That's so, like, simplistic for Tom.
Really so, yeah. Not that enjoyable, like, of a song, to be honest. I don't mind it, but I think Pay Me starts so well that it makes back in the crowd look a little plodding.
Back in the crowd does suffer because it comes after Pay Me, and like, this is the song that closes side one on the vinyl. Obviously, I buy vinyl. That makes me better than other people. Obviously. Why was this the second single for this album? Why wasn't Pay Me or Last Leaf the other single? It's a real misstep there.
Isn't there a saga of like bad Tom Waits singles from albums though? They always seem to make the wrong choices.
They always do, yeah.
Because wasn't it Hold On from Mule? It's like no. You do like Big in Japan, and then you do like Cold War or Filipina Box. Why are you bringing out something that anyone who doesn't like Tom Waits is not going to get on board with? Like,
I Don't Want to Grow Up. As the single, like, what?
Oh, it's not. I don't think that's too bad, but
no, but come on, it doesn't sell the album. But like, I think Tom can be so eclectic that it's hard to sell an album through a particular single. But like, I remember that with Back in the Crowd, I was going through a breakup at the time this album came out, so I remember like this song back then having quite the effect on me, and I realised that I may have just been too biased, because when I listen to it now, you know, when you've kind of overcome those feelings you were feeling then, I'm like, this song's pretty nice, I guess. When compared to the other ballads on this album, it just feels very lackluster. Like, yes, there is a nice little lute moment from the guitar that I like a lot. Like, lines like "Don't Make Me Stay" are pretty heartbreaking in themselves. I like how he's not like keeping a lie of love alive for love's sake. It's a song, you know, about admitting a difficult situation and not ignoring it. But there's really not much going on of any interest. Tom was talking about this song in Pitchfork with Mark Richardson, and he said, like, well, that song was an attempt at some of the, you know what they call it, Spanish tinge. It's actually a musical category like Under the Boardwalk is Spanish tinge. It's over by Roy Orbison, Spanish tinge. It was done in the 60s. You can hear it, but most people don't even know the expression. Put castanets and claves on it, you know. It's Spanish tinge. But this was a little more subtle. My wife had this melody on a tape recorder, just something she sang in the car or whatever, all by herself, and then he sings the melody like that. And I just rescued it from oblivion. Sometimes words are just music in themselves. Like Chicago is a very musical sounding name. Now, so this song is very Kathleen focused. Like maybe that would explain the opening 2 lines, perhaps. But it's just, it feels like a half finished song almost. Or these were the working lyrics. Because like the chorus is great. I love the chorus, but
yeah, it's not too much just there for me. And I think Bad As Me, which comes after, this is a good song.
Bump.
Love the energy and delivery. So much of that sort of tremolo surf guitar again, which I think is kind of a distinct sound in Bad As Me. Kind of the warbly voice and the sort of, warbly guitar as well. Dick Dale, what's good? This kind of loopy way of singing it. Tom Waits kind of loves losing his mind a little bit, right, when he's behind the mic. Enjoyable track. Not something that I'm going to return to. For me, it's on a kind of Chicago Satisfaction spectrum where it's a quick hit, but it's not lodging in the long term.
Yeah. For me, after the lull of the last song, this was a real jolt of high voltage electricity that this album sorely needed. And what a way to start off side 2 as well. I am very satisfied with Bad As Me, and I feel like it shows he still knows how to deliver a kick-ass, badass track without going completely mad like Real Gone. This was the first song that we obviously heard as a single prior to the release of the full album, and I was like, okay, yes, this is what's making me confident that it's going to be a good album. But weirdly, before the album came out, another version of this song was released, covered by Tom Jones. He rather swiftly covered this song, and I know you absolutely hate that cover, don't you? Our resident artist and designer, Danny O'Gorman, who does the thumbnail for the show and he does all of our mugs and stuff, he absolutely loves the Tom Jones cover. He absolutely adores it. He thinks it's fantastic. But yeah, this is an obviously cute ode to Kathleen song. It's not a completely complex message or anything. It's just saying his love is similar enough to him in all the bad ways, not the good. So she's the ultimate companion, and just he gives us such fun and inventive lyrics that I think you were saying this about not a face to the highway. Only Tom Waits could give us lyrics like this. You're the head on the spear, you're the nail on the cross, you're the fly in my beer, you're the key that got lost. Absolutely fantastic stuff. The list of things that he compares Kathleen to in the best Waitsian way, in the best Waitsian list compiling way, are awesomely inventive and evocative. They also have that later Waitsian element whereby the lyrics seem to very much either be it's more about what the listener brings to the table. Are they all deep cryptic metaphors? Do they exist just to fit the tempo or rhyming scheme, or is it just stuff that kind of sounds cool to Tom Waits?
Mm-hmm. The letter from Jesus on the bathroom wall.
Yes. Your mother's superior in only a bra. Again, Kathleen's in a bra again.
Yeah.
I think he does it purely to annoy her, which I hope he does, because that's very funny. But if we knew what a lot of these lyrics meant, it would probably lose some of its charm. Mm-hmm. This has my favourite lyric on the entire album, though. It's when Rebau's doing those little cracks on the guitar during the breakdowns, and it's, you bite down on the sheets, but your teeth have been wired. That's a fantastic line. I love it so much.
Yeah. You can really feel it, can't you? Yeah, it's a great line.
It goes you feel it in your teeth. Your teeth have been wired like that. I don't know about you, but is this the Tom Waits Gurning album? Like his face on the cover is him doing the Tom Waits Gurning meme smile. I feel like I have to contort my face to sing Bad As Me the way Tom does. Like my cheeks are spread like I've been hit by Joker gas from the comics and stuff like that.
Waits loves doing this, just describing Kathleen, doesn't he? I mean, I think the best
he's so good at it, though, so why
Low Down,
you enjoy it? Yeah.
First Kiss. I know it's not about Kathleen, but that's similarly just, detail. And I think Low Down's such a good track as well. But we move on to the next one, which, for me, I like the energy and of Kiss Me, and I also like the fact that he's recognising that the most exciting romantic moments that we have with our loved ones are the first ones, the ones that were so new. It's not to say that. No,
but it's so tragic though, isn't it?
It is because I want you to kiss me like a stranger. That's what she wants. I don't want you to be a stranger. I just want to resurrect what we once had. But then it's probably during that kiss itself that you realise that it's impossible. Like this, you know, what you're trying to achieve is nothing. I want to believe that our love's a mystery, but unfortunately, you know the truth.
It's very much a chasing the dragon type metaphor, isn't it? You know,
Waits on the piano. You know,
Waits back on the piano.
Back on the piano, just accompanied by bass, Marcus Shelby, and they sound great together on this track. They do really sound really good.
Oh, it's so good. No, there is a little bit of slide guitar as well, right at the start. But like, this is some like real jazzy minimalism that I really appreciate in any post Railgun release. And like, it really reminds me of things like Little Man from Orphans, with this extremely mellow and soft approach. Like, I was just going to say this about Embarrass Me, but it kind of fits here. Like, this album, like, for all its flaws, it is a showcase of how Tom can do a wide variety of very accessible songs, and Kiss Me is also very accessible. Thematically, I'm very enamoured with the idea of being kissed like a stranger again, just because, you know, it does touch on that kind of heroin type effect, and like, to make it kind of a timeless ideal, a more classic notion, it has that brilliant scratchy aged Innocent When You Dream 78 effect, and it's used so well. Like, he could do it in all of his songs, have that kind of, but he only uses it in songs that it's totally applicable, and it works so well every time. And I mean, there's that also stereotype of, you know, it's not what you play, it's the notes you don't play. And Waits takes this to the next level.
I kind of heard those at home.
Yeah. Great reference. But it's dishing out a couple of flickering little notes here and there in the most heart-wrenching way possible. And like, there's sparse piano, there's sparse bass, there's sparse guitar, and it's almost just like Tom standing there singing it live to an audience with like nothing happening, and there's so much emotion behind it. Like I don't believe he and Kathleen are going through any rough patches or anything.
But he knows, like Christmas Card, he knows how to inhabit, man.
And like, I just love how he's just being honest, isn't he? Like, you can never get that back. You really never can. And
talking of being inhabit, Waits is, you know, in sobriety, thankfully. Yes. You know, happily. You know, he's clearly very satisfied with his family life, his creative life, his, you know, incredible success. Unfortunately, he seems to have one habit that he can't seem to kick, and it's to the detriment of his career. I don't know, Sam, but I definitely, in our eyes, can't stop working with Keith Richards. He can't seem to let it go, and we get satisfied. Just want to shout out Jared one more time. Jared A. Carney, Waves coming soon. But no, what Jared was saying in the email about this kind of being too long of a song, I completely agree. Whenever I put this song on, I always like clap my hands, I like my shoulders are bopping. It is like fun, but bum bum. Yeah, like, sounds great. Absolutely no problem with that. Guitars, Rabeau's there as well with Keith, and I think Tom's on guitar as well, perhaps. You know, there's a great phonetic, wild quality to the energy, hot like a pip from a peach. You know, when I'm got like the guttural wolf howl is fantastic, but
I'm a moth in training. Flutterby. And like, roll my vertebrae out like dice, let my skull be a home for the mice. Like, wait, your lyricism's back on form, yes. Oh, and then you just do a shout out to Mick Jagger and Keith Richards for about a minute. Like,
a minute.
Yeah, like
Waits satisfied.
Waits was talking about that in a Pitchfork, and saying like, it's just a shout out. I was just caught up in the moment,
right? And
then making it a kind of an answer to Satisfaction. Can't get no satisfaction.
Yeah.
And it says, can't get no satisfaction. My ass, you can't get no satisfaction. So it was just me being refuculous.
Oh,
which is a fantastic word.
Yes.
It's an evangelical it's an evangelical litany of life affirmations. It's devotional music, really. It was a goof. Les Claypool played bass on it. My son played drums. Keith, it caught on. It is a really good song, but it does go on a little bit too long.
It's too self-satisfied with itself.
Yeah,
you know, it's too
like, dude, you've got Keith Richards and Mark Ribot, two of the defining Waits guitarists on the same track, almost dueling in the way they do. You know, with Richards being a bit more slurry and jagged and bluesy, and Ribot being far more technical of the two. It makes you feel lucky to be a listener.
And it's really only 4 minutes 5 seconds long. Like, it's not long. Like, kind of, I know it feels it at the time, but yeah, I agree.
For Bad As Me, it's a long.
We
track.
should be grateful, and I love the kind of old Southern gentleman stereotype that Tom, I demand satisfaction kind of thing, that Tom's taking on here. Needle Drop that you mentioned before, Anthony Fantano. Shout out to the Needle Drop. He's got a Rain Dogs classic review coming out soon-ish. I'm not sure exactly when, but he reviewed Bad As Me. He was, if anyone's, I'm sure most of our listeners know about the Needle Drop. If you don't, check it out. It's for sure the best music criticism channel on YouTube. The guy's brilliant, very knowledgeable.
Besides us.
Yeah, and Dead End Hip Hop. If anyone's listening to Dead End Hip Hop, I'll shout those guys out. That's another great
Paul
channel.
or Nothing as well.
I spoke over that. We're not going to repeat it. So this is Needle Drop's review of Bad As Me. He's kind of basically mimics what we say. Like, he's a huge Waits fan. It's kind of not great, but he's very grateful that it exists. And he says that he can't listen to Satisfied because for him the edges are like, if you measure up with Big Black Mariah, there's no edge. Like he says, they're the same song. Like, you can literally sing the chorus over each one. And I tried it, and he's pretty much right. It does have that da-da-ba-da-da. Da-da-da, and it's got that kind of, obviously it's Keith. All Keith knows how to write, God bless him, is 12-bar blues. So
God bless him.
That's all it is. He tries his hardest with little blues licks, but that's all you got, Keith. And this is a fine track. It's a fun track. It's an anomaly. It's Bad As Me. It's Tom getting Keith back in the fold. Keith is on other tracks on this album, which I think they're actually better. That Feel. We've been slanging on Keith Richards. That's a great song. I love that song that closes Bone Machine. Union Square's kind of fun-ish. Time can fuck off though. But I mean, is this the best Keith Richards song that Tom Waits has done? No. Is this the best Keith Richards song? No. Is it the best Tom Waits song? No. It just kind of, it's a little bit of fun, groove out.
Dude, it's just a nice tribute to all the work he and Keith Richards have done together. And like, if this is to be the last Tom Waits album, then it's a great way to do it.
Take a left off the straight and narrow. Quite like that lyric.
Put the bullet back in the barrel. Whop, whop. I love that bit.
It gets less fun as it goes on, though. I think the opening 2 minutes are a blast, and the rest is kind of, debris.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, actually. But it could almost be the best track on Brawlers. You know what I mean?
Fish in a jailhouse, but yeah.
Yeah, but it does feel like a Brawlers track.
It does.
It's an oddly straightforward rock track, though, isn't it? Which is kind of jarring for me. Like, I know how you were saying, I think it was For Real Gone, how unpredictability in itself can become predictable. So this song really was a curveball for me. But
I agree, and just I think the production is really good on this song. It sounds great. It sounds live as hell.
The best production is probably Raised Right Men. That's just dense, man. A lot of this album is very, very dense, but obviously we had Kiss Me, which was very, very sparse. Up next, this is okay. So I think there's one song on each album that you, me, and our resident artist Danny always imitate per album.
Yeah.
And I think Last Leaf is this album. I'm the last leaf. It is though.
It is. It's very Brawlers. I love this song. It's very Brawlers-esque in the way it just starts, isn't it? It's Ballers-esque.
And it's an almost necessary slowing down of pace before the next song as well. And obviously on a song that Keith Richards played on and had a shout out to him, it's very fitting that he should appear on this one again. It's very refreshing to hear Waits in a duet, actually.
Yes.
And but it's a duet whereby the lyrics are singular. I'm the last leaf.
See, that's the thing. And again, just to finally quote the Needle Drop on his review, he was bothered by that. He's like, the song's about like one guy left, but if you're the last leaf, who's the backing vocals? I was like, what? I was like, that's a weird.
A branch, maybe?
Like, I mean, I kind of get your point, but I don't see what it adds.
No, but they're both old men now, right. And like, we kind of always view our own experience as the defining experience. So yeah, 2 old men singing about being the last leaf on the tree is never going to be not affecting, though. And like, it's a much more somber and solemn version of his Crooked Tree story from Wristcutters: A Love Story, which is a fantastic movie. It's another example of how the genuinely older Waits does these kind of tracks probably better than the younger Waits imitating an older man would have done. There are just so many like elements that I love. There's some great scratching on acoustic and electric strings in this one. It's almost like a punk song in its lyricism. It's a great defiant track. Like he's proud to be the last leaf, the last of the Mohicans or whatever. But it's a great me against the world type of song, and it melds perfectly in that great way to happy lyrics, sad music, or sad music, happy lyrics. because you got that soft melodic acoustic guitar in the background, and it works so well. And I was going to start like kind of a deep analysis of like what the lyrics might mean. And Tom Waits, in that article, A Drizzle Troubadour, he was just saying it was a tree and there was one leaf on it, and I wondered, wow, if you can make it through winter until next year, maybe I can. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, I love the lyrics on here. I love the first. I mean, the title itself. Even if you hadn't heard this song, you'd think, oh, it's a metaphor. Like, obviously, he's not going to be speaking explicitly about trees, but he almost does. And I wish he would have changed the song, because the first two verses deal in metaphors. Obviously, he's referring to himself as the elder statesman. The autumn took the rest. They flutter to the ground. The new ones coming in green. Like, all of this are working within the kind of arboreal metaphor here. And then we get Eisenhower, which I like. It's kind of funny, like, oh, the leaf.
I thought you loved that.
I do like the line, but I kind of wish it wasn't there, because it kind of when I first heard it, it took me out of the song a bit, and then you go back into the kind of normal stuff, the fighting off hail and snow, and then you have that lovely existential end that I think would be strengthened if Eisenhower was taken out. If they cut down this tree, I'll show up in a song. Which is, Waits has said before, like, if you something like songs are like eggs, if you break one open, there's a couple of more inside, or something like that. He loves kind of speaking whimsically about songs like that. And yeah, I mean, this is a great song, really fitting song. I love the way Keith Richards, like, the way they both seem to sing are kind of like buds rising out of a tree branch very slowly, like they're slowly blossoming, they've slowly got some strength left, and it's a gorgeous track. It's very fitting as well, considering that this year, 2016, Lemmy, Bowie, Prince, ridiculous amount of other musical stars and general stars have sadly been deceased, and this is a great song. It is great to see Waits and Keith Richards, like two spent swimmers, clung against each other. It's great that they're still here. And yeah, I do like the Eisenhower line. I kind of wish it wasn't there, almost, because I like that. I know it's kind of weird, it's just a line, it doesn't ruin the whole song for me, but it's just kind of, I like the kind of double entendre throughout, and that kind of just made it feel a bit more kind of like, oh, do you get the metaphor?
Yeah, I do. I think everyone else does.
Yep.
I do like it is just a song about a lack of willingness to go without swinging.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sure we can all empathise with this type of song, even at any age. The thought of death, it's always looming on all of us, and it's a very nice bittersweet ending to such a rousing and championing of the spirit type track. Because obviously, if they cut down in the tree, I'll show up in a song, and it has shown up in a song, so we know that last leaf now isn't there. But like I say, it's what kind of like Lucky Day. It just fills you up with that kind of, yes, I can do with this kind of feeling that Tom Waits always does so well without making it cheesy. I love Last Leaf. Waits was just talking in an article called Tom Waits on his grandma's pistol, his new record, and Keith Richards was just talking about Keith, and he was just saying, oh man, he doesn't require anything at all. I really didn't need to show him how to move. You can just show him anything. I've read these, and I was talking to him in pantomime and body language. I may have been, but I don't remember. I was probably nervous talking to him and, resorting to, hand signals. The first time, referring to the Rain Dog sessions, he brought about 200 guitars with him, and I said, oh man, this is crazy, He had a guitar valet. He bought a butler and 200 guitars and pulled up in a moving van. Jesus. This time it was a little more streamlined, though. So I could imagine, like, maybe Richards knows that Tom is more of his own man now,
yeah.
and he will take command a little bit more, perhaps. I think we did agree that Richards was kind of walking all over Tom in his 3 Rain Dog songs, but like, again, with that feel, there is that kind of like they are now more than just people who are kind of working together. They are now friends, and I'd love to think as Keith just being Tom Waits' enabler to like have a drink every now and then.
Right.
But yeah, fantastic song.
Great song. Hell Broke Loose. As we
one of the best Tom Waits music videos, man.
Yeah, it is actually. I remember on his website a few years ago they were doing some sort of countdown to something, and everyone's like, "Oh, is it going to be tour dates?" And it was for this video. And when it came out, I was kind of like, "Oh, I don't think I even watched it all the way through. I was just a bitter that it wasn't actual release dates or tour dates."
It was a picture of him dressed as like a pirate with a cutlass, wasn't
right?
it?
Okay. And
yeah, it was like coming soon. thought it'd be like, wow, another album. Is it going to be like Alice and Blood Money? But no.
No, well, I mean, regardless, I eventually got over myself and watched the video, and yeah, love the video as well. Really, really creative, and a great song as well. Something engendered by the misspelling of loose. It just gets you on board for the kind of, wilderness of this track.
Well, like, is Loose a name?
I guess it could be short for Lucy, but I think it's more of a play.
I think like, it could be like a weird like Lucifer kind of thing, like like it even broke the devil. You know what I mean? Right. Firstly, we've just got to say that I think this is our first Waitsian F-bomb, isn't it?
I believe so.
No pun intended. But he's obviously used them in the movies at this point. But like the fact that he's done that. And like, I don't think Bad As Me has an explicit lyrics sticker on it for parents and stuff.
Right.
But he's kind of like saying, look, this is really getting fucking bad now. Like, how seriously do I have to make you take me? And it's just such a heavy track, isn't it? Like, that tuned down guitar that roars after the line, how come the only one's responsible for making this mess? It's so dramatic and fucking cool. And it has like a size and a scale that I really haven't seen since something like Underground, which was a lot more laid back. But the production on this song is mad. It's just got this cacophonous layering where elements come and go seemingly at random without warning, like random barks and half-heard like System of a Down type scatting in the background, and it's just this overall assault on the senses that perfectly imitates the sheer chaos of warfare and conflict more than any song I've ever heard, let alone a Waits track.
Yeah,
like he's kind of lost that epic sweeping nature of the Road to Peace, and he's given up on that notion. He's really pissed now, and it's like it's a conflict that had its seeds sown back in 2004, for Christ's sake, and he's bringing the war home now. You know what I mean? He can't distance himself or detach himself from his own kids in this war, and he's just like, look, he's bringing the song back, and he's like, look at this. What do you think about it? Tell me what you think. What is your opinion? We can't ignore this anymore. It's been going on since 2001, hasn't it? We've just been at constant war, and it's never talked about. It's so weird. One thing this song did teach me though is that Jeff is spelled Geoff, not Jeff, which I'd always thought with Jeff Goldblum. But the chorus is like a whole comrade battalion singing for their lost men, isn't it? Like, hell broke loose. It's such a catchy song, but it's so dark still.
Yeah, it's got a huge guttural thump to it, hasn't it? Reminds me a lot of Nine Inch Nails, kind of like the smacky guitar. I really, really like it. Lots of swearing as well. Really fun song. The way that he kind of had a good home and I left, right, left. Big fucking...
weighty and brevity, though.
Yeah. That is such a great line. Reminds me a lot of the Mersey Poets, the way they play with language in that same sort of way. Big fucking bomb made me deaf. Talking about meth. This is making the rhyme scheme sound simplistic, but the song does have that kind of fud to it that I really like. That kind of caveman, kind of, knuckle drag. It's an awesome song, and I'm really happy it's on the album. Like, if this wasn't on there, you'd think, oh, has Tom maybe lost that edge? But he's clearly still right there at the fringes.
Well, I love how I think this is the only song I've ever heard that delves into the widespread drug use amongst combat soldiers on the front, both as an escape and as a source of self-medication.
Right.
People forget that half of all German troops in World War II were on meth just to stay awake and stuff. Churchill was coked out. Heroin and weed was rife in Vietnam.
Okay.
It's a really dark subject, and I'm glad he tackles it. But he's a lot more cynical now. He's a lot more aggressive with age, which is fantastic. I love the use of real names in it as well. It makes the war hit home a little more, and just the diegetic use of sound that we really haven't heard since Frank's Wild Years and Big Time, just gunfire and stuff. Yep. It throws you into the middle of the conflict. In the article, Tom Waits on his grandma's pistol, his new record, and Keith Richards, Waits talked about Hell Broke Loose, and he says, there was this prisoner in Alcatraz during a prison riot. This goes back to the 40s. And during the riot, of course, everyone was nervous, and he scratched on a wall with a knife, and he wrote Hell Broke Loose, Luce, and that's how he spelled it. Alcatraz, they have an amazing bookstore, but I got separated from everyone else on the tour, and after a while something happened with my headset, and while I was out of step and I didn't know where the hell the rest of the people were, so I just sat in one of the cells for a while. Keith Richards said that the officers will hate that song, but enlisted men will love it. The army's interested in as an ad, their commercials. It's an answer to "Be All You Can Be." It's a conversation I had with them about it. It's a cautionary tale of, obviously, like, Tom makes war sound like hell. That fantastic quote, and it's just so unbearable to listen to. It's just this long list of bad things happening to soldiers who are out fighting for no particular reason. Sergio's developing a real bad cough. I'll guarantee you he'll meet it with a suicide bomb. Like, this is dark stuff, dude. It really is.
Yeah.
And like you say, I'm glad it's on the album. A song that I'm not glad is on the album is sadly the last song on the official run.
Yeah.
New Year's Eve. What do you think about this song?
Very little.
Yeah.
Very
blang, blang, blang.
Yeah, there's a feeling of gondolas and
what's the tune to this song,
movement.
Tom?
I couldn't sing it off the top of my head.
You can't, can you?
There's a sense of swing. There's a location in the world. I mean, I think as I was saying at the start, there are a lot of these songs feel, to share a lot of similar traits, and New Year's Eve is kind of probably the blandest of all of those. It just doesn't really, the final song on Wait's album, which this is the final song. There's 3 more we're going to cover briefly, but they're just sort of bonus tracks. The final song, the Come On Up to the House, the, what else we're talking about? Anywhere I Lay My Head, That Feel even, New Year's Eve ain't that. New Year's Eve is a damp squib.
There's always one Tom Waits song on each album that I don't give the fair amount of time to, and normally I feel quite bad about it, because it normally turns out to be a song that I actually come to find a new appreciation for. But New Year's Eve is not that. It's one of the first Tom Waits songs where I feel the Waitsian juxtaposition of cheerful sound and unsettling lyrics really work against the track, and it just confuses the issue due to a lack of clear thematic narrative. And what a misfire for the end of the album. And if this is the last official Tom Waits song to be released on an album, if he never does another one again, this is how we end it. This isn't the end with Her Majesty, which is a fucking great way to end a fantastic run. It's New Year's Eve. Wow. I still have no idea what Auld Lang Syne is, why we sing it, why we have to cross our arms when we do it. Obviously, Auld Lang Syne is the chorus for this song. Waits was talking about it in Pitchfork, and he said the song needed a chorus and they didn't have one. So Kathleen and I said, come on, we're talking about New Year's Eve, let's just do it. And if you've ever been at one of those gatherings where this went badly, where we all sing even though the fireworks scared the dog and he's been gone for 2 hours, and someone lit the sofa on fire and Marge got food poisoning and Bill O'Neill called the cops. New Year's Eve was long. A long song that had to be cut down to what they call a pony. That's an alcoholic term for a small bottle. Come on, give me a pony, man. I think that's what they call those bottles when they give you on an aeroplane. Anyways, it was cut back to a more manageable size, but it still got the point across. No, it didn't, Tom. I don't know what the point of this song was. Yep. Maybe if it had been longer and we could have immersed ourselves in the world a bit more, maybe it would have worked. Or just cut it out. I'd rather She Stole the Blush ended the album, which is a bit more fun, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I like the fact that it's called New Year's Eve, and that it's kind of the idea that the final song is a day before a new beginning kind of thing. But in terms of lyrical content, it's redundant. Yeah, it's not very good. She Stole the Blush, quickly, has that Bad As Me sound to it, doesn't it? Kind of Let's Get Lost. This is kind of new ground being broken, if it's, even though it's just being dug into, quite a shallow way. Still a fun track. I just think that it's not, again, I like the title, but it's not sticking in my head too much, this one.
The chorus is quite fun. I do like the bass. The brass section's quite fun. Like, she stole the blush from the road. But yeah, it's all the bonus tracks are actually quite forgettable. Mm-hmm. We don't have a Big Face Money, do we?
We don't. No. Tell me. I mean, again, like, why have hope? Is the sort of central conceit of this one. I really like the grit of Tom, like, tell me. But we've kind of heard this before several times.
Yeah, we have.
How's it going to end? Is a way better Tom Waits song about the same sort of thing, about the uncertainty towards the end, the confusion over the instincts and motivations behind things is similar. Bottom of the World is similar as well musically. The way the guitar lead comes in quite broadly and kind of has that folky, rustic idea. it happens to everyone, Tom. Like, the thing that made your album so interesting, and Bad As Me is still good, but made it so interesting was the capacity for reinvention, the fearlessness. And I think a song like Tell Me is just like, if you wanted, you could spend the rest of your career writing these sort of numbers. We don't want you to, though.
Yeah, it does have a kind of Ballers feel.
Completely. Yeah, any of the kind of throwaway ballads are mostly not good enough to get on Ballers.
Ooh,
Last Leaf is
the venom there.
What else is
there, Tom? I don't know. Ballers isn't perfect for me, but
the Ballers has way better ballads than Bad As Me. Long Way Home, Shiny Things, World Keeps Turning, Never Let Go, Good Night Irene,
Hold Back Spring, yeah.
Take Care of My Children, Young at Heart. Like, come on.
They are actually, yeah.
There's some great songs in there, and I'm just picking ones that I know you like. There's a few of us there that Don't Worry fans are like them as well. Go Fuck Yourself, Widow's Grove. But
Widow's Grove's nice, and down there by the train as well.
Oh no,
Down
I can't
there
stand
by
that.
the train,
Oh my god,
with the train.
You thought Satisfaction was long? That's like 5:40. That song, Jesus, so little ideas. After You Die, again a telling title for the final song officially ever released by Waits until whatever comes next. Obviously, he's done some covers. For Blind Willie Johnson, but not kind of explicitly new studio songs. Although he did do the one for Letterman, right? There was a new song on
One Last Look.
Yeah.
I think that will be the last song on our Morphins segment that we'll do. But we'll get onto that shortly after we do our summary and real gone segment.
Yep. So I mean, any much to say on After You Die? I mean, I don't mind it. Like,
I like the lyrics. It's quite inventive.
Like a necktie flapping, like a rich guy clapping.
I think it's got that basic Tom Waits lyrical conceit.
He says wild ass. He says like a wild ass painting, which is just very like, you can't imagine him White say it's wild ass.
I don't know. I just think that I'm with these 3 bonus tracks, you know why they're not on the main album. You know,
it's clear. Yeah.
Like Big Face Money could have opened up.
Big Face Money, man. Oh, what a song!
It could have opened up Mule Variations. It really could have.
Some of the best sounding guitar ever on a Tom Waits song, and it's only like 30 seconds long. Check out Big Face Money.
It is. It's really good.
Yeah, it is really good.
So, what's your favourite song on the album,
My
Tom?
favourite song, it's hard to pick. I think only one comes up that I'm really, really enjoy. It's probably Last Leaf.
Mine's going to be Chicago.
Chicago, yeah, of course.
What's your least favourite song on the album?
Probably New Year's Eve.
Well, since I can't pick New Year's Eve...
it's long as well, New Year's Eve. It's 4.5 minutes.
I'm probably going to pick Back in the Crowd, if I'm honest. It's just a real flair. Like, Back in the Crowd is like a song version of the Hobbit films. It's just, well, whatever. It really is. Overall, for the arbitrary rating out of 10, you've given this album a low 6. I've given it a high 7. It's not my favourite, nor is it the best since Rain Dogs. I know you've got a problem with that.
Yeah, it was something on that sort of divide. Yeah, I think it's just
was
wrong.
That Metacritic who said
flat
that?
Out wrong.
Well, like it's a wrong review that led to an awkward interview as well. I don't know how many of you have seen this out there on the interwebs, but Jimmy Fallon, kind of before he found his feet, like he's still not the best host out there, or even one of the okayest hosts for talk shows and stuff. But he was very obviously starstruck by having Tom Waits on, and like Tom Waits meant like a little quip here and there, and like Letterman will like giggle and stuff, but like Jimmy Fallon's like ha 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 ha. It's like, oh my god, it's Tom Waits, and yeah, it's unbearable. But we're not. People think we're sometimes quite harsh on Tom Waits albums, but we're not going to cut him slack just because he's Tom Waits. And this is another album that it kind of bookends closing time quite nicely. It's still there are quite a few good songs on there. It's hard for me to consider the album a misstep or something to like stay away from. It has its own merits, and I don't think he's lost his edge as it were. I just think maybe
it was. I remember
time.
in 2011 when I was first encountering this album, and I was quite enjoying it. I was happy that it was good, but I think just being so well acquainted with what this guy's capable of, and knowing how hard he pushes himself as well, I just don't think maybe he was firing on all cylinders here. There's just not enough knockouts for me to really recommend this release. I just think if you're going to get into Waits, or maybe you're thinking Bad As Me, if you haven't heard anything between 1977 and Bad As Me, listen to that first, because that's going to be better.
Yeah, Bad As Me is a good introductory album purely because there's a lot more better stuff out there. But this is accessible, it's fun, it's varied, it's kind of manic. But yeah, speaking of bookending stuff, we have a section called Real Gone, and we did this thing where we thought, right, we're going to save his first film appearance right till the end. This is Real Gone. This is 1978's Paradise Alley.
I wake at night again, now that Annie is back in town.
Mumbles. Now, when was the last time you were with a woman?
Probably the Depression, man.
What are you saving it for?
I don't know, man. Maybe a big finish.
Well, listen to me, you better get out more often because you're starting to turn a little gray. Now me, I'm on my way to visit the best looking tomato in the neighborhood. Good night, Mumbles.
Good night.
All the corner boys still lollygag, and the sailors shoot the breeze. Yeah, some things round here will never change.
So this is a film that Sylvester Stallone actually wrote before Rocky came out in '76 and tried to sell it to the producers, but couldn't. Then Rocky becomes this fucking massive film. I didn't know it won the Oscar for Best Film that year. Like Rocky's massive. Like, yeah, and
it is really good. It's really good. I recently watched Creed.
You
Creed's
did.
Quite good.
Is it more than just like, you know, swapping the roles of Rocky? Is it a bit...
Yeah. No, it's good. It takes the story in a good new direction as well that doesn't feel forced but makes sense for franchise expansion. And plus, who doesn't like Michael B. Jordan? Obviously, most know him as Wallace. He was also in Chronicle as well, but he's a great actor. He killed it.
Shout out to Caught on the Wire as well.
Yeah, always.
So basically, this is now, he's gone from boxing to wrestling, and he's not the wrestler in it. It's about his brother. The plot in simple is like three Italian-American brothers, originally meant to be three African-Americans, but the studio wouldn't greenlight it unless Stallone starred in it and made it about Italian-Americans. The oldest, Cosmo, who's played by Stallone, they're all living in the slums in 1940s New York. They realise after one of the brothers wins an arm wrestling match against a mafioso bruiser named Frankie the Thumper that he's essentially like the toughest guy in town, and they sign up for a series of wrestling matches at Paradise Alley, the neighbourhood's sleazy bar, complete with a certain pianist. Using one of the brothers' promotional skills and Cosmo's kind of con artist tactics, they reach the top to thwart a sleazy manager and mafiosos. Right, so Tom, you've got Tom Waits in your movie, you've sought him out. Are you going to sing the title song yourself, or are you going to let Tom Waits do it? Well,
you know,
Stallone decides that he's going to sing the title song for the opening credits himself on piano, and I heard piano coming in. I was like, oh, okay, wow, is Tom going to sing? It's not as bad as you might think in terms of songwriting, but in terms of Stallone singing it, it's just as hilarious as you might imagine. Like, it really ruins the tone of the movie. It's so God. Funny.
Okay.
Like,
so how is Tom? He's Mumbles, right?
Right. I'll go into a bit more of the film after I talk about Tom.
Sure.
Okay, so the gen that made this whole podcast possible. Tom Waits has had a rocky relationship with both me, with us, in terms of Real Gone, as he seems to be anything but consistent in his working attachments to the projects he involves himself in. And if we had to we've had to draw lines between these truly starring roles in things like Iron Weed, Down by Law. Then you have the middle tier supporting roles like Dracula or Risk Cutters, and then you have the minor appearances that could either be seen as overblown cameos like The Book of Eli or Cotton Club. And sadly, this film falls into the latter. Stallone famously, when he was talking to Roger Ebert, had to cut down about 45 minutes of the film, much to his disapproval, and he kind of cut out atmospheric character pieces, scenes that wouldn't drive the plot forward in a kind of Mad Max Fury Road kind of way, but would allow us to immerse ourselves in the world and get to know the players a little more. And I'd like to think that Waits' scenes were amongst those taken out of the final edit, because, ladies and gentlemen, he's literally in the film for little more than 40 seconds.
Wow.
Yes, this is more screen time than the god-awful Twixt, but at least Twixt he wasn't getting billing in the opening credits. It's really bad. Like, he plays Mumbles, the piano player, and he's just talking to, like, Stallone's like, I'm about to see the hottest dame in town, eh, Mumbles? And he's like, yeah, you know what, you want a big finish, don't you? And then, like, I've seen 2 versions of the scene, because, like, this scene is on YouTube, and I think I watched the DVD edit online, and in the DVD edit, Mumbles doesn't sing, because as Stallone walks off to meet his date, but in the TV edit, he does. And there's about 12 more minutes of footage in the TV edit, so I think maybe if it's in the TV version, there may be more mumbles in it.
Right.
But there is literally none in the DVD cut. Waits is clearly very like young here and like unsure of himself. He's almost like borderline or like on the spectrum with his inability to look at Stallone in the eye, and he does just occupy his barfly hipster oddball persona, and does as much as he can with the 40 seconds he's given. He's drinking, he's smoking, he's dishevelled, he's disdainful, he's at the piano. Typecasting much, anyone?
Right.
But yeah, the movie itself is actually not bad. The 1940s post-war New York is very rich and vibrant with lots of nice little touches. Like, Stallone has an insight into the sporting world that not a lot of other directors have. And whilst he doesn't retain the same kind of vibrancy and inventiveness with the slower dialogue scenes, he has more than a flair for bringing sport to life on the screen.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is that Stallone is one of the more competent directors that no one ever talks about. It kind of is a bit of a shame, really. It's got one of the most intense arm wrestling scenes of all time, and the film ends with this 12-minute scene where they open up the roof of the bar and then it rains on the wrestling ring. It's really fucking good.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
There's lots of bad New York accents in it as well. Like I owns this joint, so bait it like that.
Over here.
No, over here's. Like that, it's that.
And what?
It's that funny. It really is.
Right. I'm going to check this out, man.
And the line that sums up the movie for me, that kind of both sums up Stallone's character and the world it's set in. He says, "If a guy can't make money pretending he's a cripple, you know the world's becoming a cheap place." But yeah, that's the last reel gone, and my heart is tearing itself apart right now, dude.
Well, really just a quickly thing. We've tried to with Reel Gone do every single appearance, but we haven't. There are some we haven't covered. So for the sake of I can't tell you the episodes that we covered the films on, but for the sake of completion, we haven't covered his appearance in Wolfen, which I've seen on YouTube. That's 1981, his second appearance after Mumbles, where he plays another piano guy. He's in One from the Heart. As a trumpet player, uncredited. You do hear him play.
We do mention that in the episode, though.
Did we cover The Outsiders?
No.
Okay, The Outsiders is a film from '83 that he's in. We did do Rumblefish.
Rumblefish was great as well, actually.
Rumblefish was good. That was a good movie.
Coppola not sucking. Rourke. It's great to see him not do that.
He's in a film called The Stone Boy from '84. Apparently he plays a petrified man at the carnival. He's uncredited. The Cotton Club.
We've done that.
We've done that, yeah. Down by... I'll just go through them all, yeah. Down by Law was really good. Obviously, probably his best one. He plays Zach in that. Candy Mountain, I don't think we did.
No, we didn't.
Ironweed is another really good one that he's in with Jack Nicholson and Meryl Streep. We've raved about that a few times on the show.
Do you remember Cold Feet?
Cold Feet was awful. That's an '89.
Kenny's very angry!
The only funny thing about Cold Feet that I always remember was like, there's a bit when they're driving down the highway and Tom's kind of like got half his body out the car and he's doing press ups like his back's in like where the window is, and as it's driving, it's quite funny actually. He's in a film called Bearskin, an urban fairy tale. Not seen that. Queen's Logic. He plays Monty. That's a comedy. Not seen that. The Fisher King.
We didn't cover the Fisher King. That's the only big one we haven't done. We did a Simpsons episode, but we didn't cover the Fisher King.
Is he in it much?
He's great. He plays a cripple in it. He's really, really cool.
Okay.
Big props to Terry Gilliam.
Of course.
Love Terry Gilliam.
I Play in the Fields of Lord we covered. Bram Stoker's Dracula we did. Shortcuts we did. Coffee and Cigarettes. We seem to have done most of his 90s material. Domino we did. Wrist Cutters we did. Parnassus. Did we do Book of Eli?
We did do the Book of Eli. I remember because I watched it until 3 in the morning the night before just to squeeze it in.
Right. Twixt we did. 7 Psychopaths. And then that kind of wraps up his film career. He's got Citizen Coming, as we said before. So That's real gone, and I mean, in a sense, that is kind of the podcast. I mean, we'll do a little coda reflecting now, but I think me and Sam just have our personal thank yous. I just want to do a few. My first is thank you to my girlfriend Sophie. I appreciate for the support, and I mean, it's kind of we're just sitting down chatting. It's not like I'm going on a marathon or whatever, but like, I appreciate she's been great. And I really appreciate that, because I remember sometimes like I've been to hers and like I've done the podcast, when we kind of just had to do it sort of thing, and she's had to like wait, and I appreciate that. So yeah, thank you so much.
I think I'd have to say the same thing as well. I've obviously moved in with my girlfriend Amy, and I have to thank her parents as well, who actually let me record a lot of these episodes.
It's very cool of them
in their spare room. But yeah, the amount of times where Amy said, "Sam, are you listening, or are you just doing your podcast notes?" And I have been just doing my podcast notes.
Right.
So yeah, there's a big amount of putting up with it, especially when she'll be saying, "Sam, why are you starting 2 new podcasts when you haven't finished your Tom Waits one yet?" Which is a very fair point.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are so many fans as well.
So many fans, yeah. I mean, obviously you know who you are. Anyone that has emailed in, thank you so much. The emails today have been great, and everyone in the past has been fantastic as well. Personal thank you to Morris, who has a great podcast. He's a big fan of the show, big friend of the show. 2 great podcasts. He has a podcast called the Love That Album podcast, where he reviews albums, long form, just an album. As well? I've been on twice, which is kind of why I want to thank him personally, because he's a great guy. Incredible music knowledge, inspiring level of music knowledge. This guy really fascinating.
It's borderline creepy. It's like, how do you know all of this?
Like it's very much like he's like a normal guy as well. Like, he's got a family, and he's not like a hermit. He's not like a musical kind of, like, he's an awesome guy. But yeah, I was saying this recently. Like, it's like I was so passionate. I mean, I still love music, but I was such a kind of like, I was listening to so much when I was like 18, 19, and now I'm a bit too busy. But it's like, he's like, I don't know, I think he's like 40 or something. Sorry, Morris, if you're not that, but I'm pretty sure you are that. He's got like a quite old son. But yeah, it's like if you were always had that passion for the next 20 years, you know what I mean? You didn't stop, like you just kept listening, and it's so inspiring. And the reason you should check him out mostly is because his Love That Album podcast, not only did he do a review of Rain Dogs and Heart of Saturday Night with a Friend, which is very good, but he did something we were never able to do. He got Barney Hoskins on the actual podcast, and they chatted for like an hour, and it's fucking brilliant. It's all Waits focused. He asks all the right questions. So yeah, if you listen to this podcast and you just want to listen to more Waits podcasts online, check out Morris's Love That Album podcast. Just search Love That Album, Barney Hoskins, you'll find it.
Go on. I'll actually be having Morris on for my Paul McCartney one as well. We'll obviously be talking about that later, and hopefully I'll be appearing on his See Here podcast, where he talks about musical films. He never likes to talk about the Beatles. He says it's been done to death, but I'll be discussing Yellow Submarine with him.
That's great. And a few more. Twitter, I just want to say, like, running the Twitter at Tom Waits Podcast has been fantastic. I always send out questions. People always get in touch. We have some great answers near enough every day. As to how much that Twitter is going to be updated in the future, now that we're not doing the show as much, it still is. Like, I check it. I'm still going to post stuff that I like about Tom Waits, retweet stuff, and any stuff about the show in terms of, because we are going to be doing more episodes. We said before we're going to do extra episodes. We said as well before, one thing we didn't realise, we haven't reviewed Glitter and Doom, so we'll do Glitter and Doom as well in an episode. I'm not going to say it's going to be soon, maybe after the summer, who knows, but to keep in touch and to keep up to date, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's obviously the best way, and then also at Tom Waits Podcast on Twitter. And if you want to email us, we will continue to answer these emails. We really hope we get some more emails, returning emailers or new emailers. Email us, tomwaitspodcast@gmail.com. You've heard, obviously, we've got a great pedigree of people. Just share whatever you want about Waits. We're happy to read it, happy to engage, happy to reply. So yeah, those will be read out on the bonus episodes. Any more thanks for you, Sam?
No, it's just some of the bigger players like Michael Ornstein,
Michael Ornstein of Sons of Anarchy fame is a fan.
Yes, Mad King Ludwig. I love you, man. I love his podcast. I actually haven't got back to a Facebook message he sent me recently. I'm trying to get him to come on.
What is his podcast again? Is there? Can you remember what it's called?
What's it called? I feel like a right dickhead now.
Is it like Swancast or something?
Yeah, no. I think he calls them Swancasts, not podcast. Okay. But yeah. Can we put it up as a link on the YouTube or something like that? Of
course, yeah.
But yeah, great.
And I'll link the Barney Hoskins interview as well.
And
for
I wish we'd written down all of the early people who got in on the Twitter and still answer our questions daily.
It's good, man. They know who they are, and I just want to, say thank you again, and just keep tweeting us.
Yeah, and Tom, I want to thank you, dude. I really do.
Thanks, man.
You, for a while before the show came out, we were like, Sam, we should do a podcast. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, no, Sam, come on, fuck it. We're gonna listen. We're gonna listen to Closing Time. You're on your bike 8 hours a day. Listen to the fucking album, and I did. Yeah. And there is a deleted episode of Closing Time that will never be released. It'll never see the light of day unless someone breaks into our car while we're in some weird shop and puts it out in Iceland. But yeah, that was there. We did it. We fucked up. We had to go. Why did we?
It wasn't. No, I don't think it was bad. It was more.
It was just over Skype, wasn't it? So we could hear both of us at the same time, couldn't we?
Yes, it was just I didn't understand any like audio production techniques, and it was also I just wanted to talk for an hour in a dry run, and you know what I mean. And then when we did Closing Time from on, we didn't really look back. It was just it was all good.
But since then, you know, we've except for the 2-month gaps where you've had holidays. We've stuck to this schedule, and I'm really proud of that. 2 weeks. We've put out a good product. We've got the blog. We've got the Twitter. We've got the YouTube page where obviously you can check out our bonus episodes. Any last iTunes reviews would be much appreciated. But yeah, dude, I really want to thank you because I won't be doing my podcast that I'm doing now without you. I want to thank. Caught on the Wire because I don't think we would be even thinking that we could do podcasts ourselves.
No, for sure.
Until we'd heard them. Alex and
Toby.
Alex and Toby, thank you so much for doing your great show. I think one of the defining things about our two podcasts, Down the Hole and Caught on the Wire, is that people have like messaged and said, so like, where's your studio? And it's like, we don't have a fucking studio. Like anyone out there now, you listen to the show, you can go out there and make your own podcast. It is a Joe Rogan staple. Dude, you should have a podcast.
But I love it. I'm sure there's lots of music fans listening who say, for example, a huge, I don't know, Prince fans or David Bowie fans or whatever. Do a podcast about that person. Just review the albums. It's so fun to do.
Don't do a Paul McCartney one though. Please don't do a Paul McCartney one. I've got it now. It's ready to go.
So finally, obviously we do other things. Sam, your Paul McCartney podcast.
So I just realised as I was walking into my bedroom studio today that it's not actually up with iTunes yet, but it will be on YouTube tomorrow. It's called Paul or Nothing, where you can get all your Paul all of the time. I'm basically going to be a sister show to Down in the Hole if you want to look at it that way.
Same sort of format, right?
Big lot of context, reviewing the songs, summary. Unfortunately, Paul doesn't have as many on-screen cameos or anything like that, so there won't be a real Gone-esque segment. But the first episode is ready. It's good to go.
Excellent.
I've done my theme, which has gone down well with our social group, which I'm very proud of.
Yes, that's great.
And it's going to be up on Thursday. Hopefully, we'll do a bit more advertising for that show on our own Twitter, just to help me get a bit of a bump. I'm also doing a show called Only Fools and Podcasts, which is a kind of like a monthly thing I do, just kind of like a slow burner, just to keep me occupied, where I'm reviewing every episode and the background and the actors in Only Fools and Horses. I'm very happy to know that John Chalice, the man who plays Boise, is aware of the show. And I've messaged him a couple of times, but he is aware that I exist, which I'm very happy with.
Excellent.
But you do quite a lot now, don't you, Tom? You have the benefit of a bachelor lifestyle with a committed relationship, so your turnout is fucking it's annoying as a guy who can only put out a show once every 2 weeks. And I look at your YouTube page, it's like 7 new episodes of Battle Rap Resume. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. I mean, it's a mixture of having free time, but like I've found like I'm obsessed with I love doing Down in the Hole, but like Battle Rap Resume is completely interview driven, so it's me and a new person every week, and I have to produce questions, and like I'm obsessed with battle rap, so I'm getting literally the A-list stars. I appreciate if you don't listen to it, and I can just pick their brains for a few hours, and it's been fantastic. So Battle Rap Resume is the YouTube channel. If you are into battle rap, we've said before many times, the Venn diagram of Tom Waits and battle rap fans, maybe it's very thin, but maybe in some sort of ego-driven way, maybe you just enjoy hearing me talk about music, and maybe you kind of just want to follow me rather than battle rap, and maybe you might get into battle rap.
Notice how I didn't say that. I was like, just check it out if you're interested in Only Fools and Horses or Paul McCartney. The Paul McCartney Tom Waits Venn diagram admittedly is going to be a lot bigger.
Oh god, I mean that is for sure. And just to quickly as well, if you aren't into battle rap though, and you want to hear me talk more about music, on the channel itself, I'm currently doing a small series where I'm reviewing every album and EP by Jest, the British rapper Jest, who is my all-time favourite.
It's got a good title as well.
hip-hop artist. Gesticulations is what it's called, Jason. I mean, it's niche. Even if you're into British hip-hop, it's niche, which is a niche genre worldwide as a whole. But yeah, he's not that well known. He's kind of highly regarded in his scene. But yeah, incredible artist. Listen to some Jess music, and if you want to hear me discuss, the first 2 episodes are up there now. I'm sure many more will be up there when you revisit in the future. But we're still working, and like we have agreed, haven't we, Sam, that we will come together. We'll kind of announce what the podcast is, but we've got an idea for a podcast that we want to do maybe in a few years, not straight away doing another project, but we will work again.
I mean, like I've worked out that my Paul McCartney show will take exactly a year and a half to do.
Wow. But yeah, there's more work to do than Waits, you know.
Yeah, so I mean, this isn't the Beatles splitting up. This is more like what could this be akin to? Is there a band that like maybe we're just like ABBA and we're just waiting for the right paycheck to get back together.
Yeah, like maybe I mean, I know you're not really a fan of this. I don't really know this band, but one of my favourite bands, Steely Dan.
Okay.
They were 2 people, Donald and Walter. You know, 2 sort of songwriters who worked together, and then they kind of didn't really split up. They just kind of did solo project for 10 years, then came back. Like, you know, so I'm putting us on that Steely Dan level. I'd fucking love to do a Steely Dan podcast, by the way. I really hope there isn't one. I'd maybe do that when I'm like 30
Dude, how is there not a Tom
so.
Waits, Only Fools and Horses and Paul McCartney podcast already out there? Kind of mind-boggling. I do feel very fortunate in
and I want to say to any listeners, look how open the playing field is. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like we went up there and there was like loads of different albums being discussed on different, you know, Tom Waits things or Only Fools or whatever. It's, you know, world's your oyster. Unless you want to talk about football or Game of Thrones or gaming, you know, they're kind of done. But like actual niche things, go wild, people. Like, we hope that we've not only inspired you to look into Waits more, but just inspired you to maybe do a podcast yourself. And I know, maybe listen to this, maybe it's like, Tom, look, I love the show, I don't want to do a podcast, stop going on about podcasts. I get you. Like, thank you so much for listening. To everyone that has been listening, this show has been an absolute treat to do. It's been wonderful to share our views.
We never thought it was like, obviously we're not, you know, Joe Rogan. We're not even the church of what's happening now.
Just to get those emails, like, though. That's the means everything.
Emails,
you know?
the downloads. It's so good to go on Podomatic every day and just see like, oh wow, like I mean, 2 days ago we had 51 downloads in a month gap for no reason. Just seeing fans do that, it's so heartwarming.
Exactly.
And I'm sad that the official run has now come to a close. But
it ceased, but it could be reopened. You know,
yes.
We don't know. That's going to be looming over this whole podcast now. Does he release an album? Don't worry. When he releases an album, we'll release an episode. We're there.
We're there. You know? We will. And I can't wait to download Hulu for 6 months and then delete my account.
For sure. But yeah, thanks so much, guys, and we will hopefully see you soon.
Goodbye, everyone. It's been a pleasure.
Well, while you've been here in Fernwood, have you had a chance to go to any of the night spots or any of the restaurants or anything like that? It's a wonderful place. You might get to like it.
I was out last night. I went to the Shoes and Socks restaurant or whatever you call it.
That'd be the Cup and Sup, I think.
Cup and Sup, yeah. $1.99 for all you can stand. It's harrowing, to say the least.
Yeah, what did you order there? They have some awfully good dishes at the Cup and Sup.
Oh, I had... I don't know, I'll Betty, she had the fillet of athletic equipment. I didn't know whether to eat mine or give it a ride home.
That will happen. Well, it wasn't expensive. That's the main part, huh?